Yeah, yeah, there's no doubt. Wanna know how I do it? Let me break it down. Keep it moving to the top. Push it, never stop. Make it fun, make it pop. Hustle till you drop. Keep it moving to the top. Push it, never stop. Make it fun, make it pop. Hustle till you drop. I gotta cool down, cool down, but you didn't come to play. 'Cause you got it, you mean it, you get there soon. And while you're grinding, making dreams come true, sometimes you gotta let your body loose. Time to party, but those dance moves to good use. Yeah. Let your hands go up, stomp your feet. Let me see you kicking it back on the dance floor, on the dance floor. Feel the beat, electrified. Move your hips side to side on the dance floor, on the dance floor. On the dance floor. On the dance floor.
Yeah. I'm ready to play now. Put me in the game now. I came here to prove it. I'm ready to do it. I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now. I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. I'm ready to do this. Show you what the truth is. I step on the field. It's time to get real. I'm feeling so ruthless. My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Yeah. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made of. Get in the game, your moment of fame. Show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up. It's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time, my time. Nothing can keep me from reaching the top. This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride. I'm ready to throw down. It's time for the showdown. I'm ready to rise, don't be surprised, I'll take on the world now. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We reaching the top, we reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We reaching the top, we reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'm never
in my check. If my name in your mouth, better add the respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck, run up on you like. This ain't a game, my aim is the throne. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone. Throw it off in my brain and I'm bad to the bone.
Welcome everyone, we return with another night of the Kartrider Drift League. We finally started our official first regular season, and things are already heating up. My name is William Cho, joined by Peter today, and because it is a Wednesday today, that means it's all team matches.
We love having a team match day because it means there's more story, because there's so many rivalries that we can delve into when it comes to these team matches.
Yeah, especially some of those matches today. We're going to have some ex-teammates clashing across the night, so we'll have to keep our eyes on that. Of course, we are now kind of wrapping up week 2. And Peter, what have you thought so far about the regular season?
Well, we've had 4 days of KDL so far, and I can certainly say that compared to the previous preseasons, the way the games flow feels really different right now. There's been a lot of meta changes with the different card rarities, as well as new items in item mode, and it is making a really big impact.
Yeah, let's take a look at the overview of the tournament so far in case you've missed the launch of the season, because we do have some changes. So one of the biggest changes, of course, is we only have 2 days a week now, but that does mean the overall season gets a little bit extended, especially with things, you know, like the wild card stage, and then we have the redemption matches and the solos as well.
So what's interesting about the wild card being added is that now it's not about just being in top 4. You kind of want to be in top 3, because if you finish 4th place, you have to play in that wild card match in extra time. And also, getting 5th place is kind of like a bonus for the teams that are more struggling.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that extra chance. So, yeah, it's good news if you finish in 5th, because you get one extra chance to try to enter into the postseason, into the playoffs. But like you said, Peter, being top 4 no longer is good enough. You want to be top 3 to really secure your spot to try to get to the finals and eventually have a chance to get to that prize pool. I mean, it's gotten a lot bigger now that we're in the regular season.
It's definitely as big as it can get. You see all those numbers and the commas, then you know you want that champion prize pool. But of course, we also have a fan race MVP vote now. So every single match, we will have the fans voting that MVP, which is a nice bonus.
Yeah, so approximately, or exactly 100 million Korean won, which is approximately, you know, right under around 100,000 US dollars, depending on, of course, you know, how you want to go about when we're transitioning that. But obviously, this is held in Korea, so they will just get the 100 million Korean won split amongst the players. And we joked about this before. You know, for some of the teams that have, 4-player, you know, rosters, obviously they're going to have a little bigger piece of the pie. So, you know, maybe that comes into play as well when we get towards the finals. But that's the overview. Again, just team matches today, so we won't worry about the solo matches. If you're interested in that, we will return to those on Saturday. But let's take a look at how things have panned out so far in the past week. So 1 week before, that was our first Wednesday with all 3 team matches, as you can see at the bottom of your screen.
It was a day where it started off kind of being one-sided. We had teams going 2-0. But at the end, MIRAEN and Sejong versus Always, I think this is the one that really surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, MIRAEN and Sejong, you know, again, this is some legendary players that regrouped under a new pro team banner, right, under the sponsor of MIRAEN and Sejong. And a lot of people thought, okay, these guys are now going to be contenders to enter the finals, things like that. And then they lost their first match against an amateur team. It's not looking so good for them.
Not just an amateur team, but probably the most amateur team we have in the league right now. And it was kind of like the ace match where they lost it. And you can say any team can kind of lose an ace match, but it does really suck to have that loss as your first starting day.
Yeah, and like you said, ace matches, it comes down to the 1v1. But of course, we had more matches over the weekend as well. Of course, on Saturday, we had team matches and solo matches. So Always, they weren't as successful against NUTMITE, so they even out in their records. KWANGDONG Freaks looked looked a little iffy, but Seongbin returns in prime form in the ace match. A brilliant ace match, by the way. If you missed it, I'd go check it out between Desperado and Kwangdong Freeks.
The funny thing about Kwangdong Freecks is that they also struggled in preseason 2, although it may not seem like it because they won both preseason 1 and 2. But certainly that season 2 gave them a little trouble for their money, and that's happening again here. So you have to wonder, how long will this 4-man roster go unpunished?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. So far, still just as successful. And you can see on the right side of your screens as well, the solo match results so far. That was Group B this past Saturday. Again, slight change in the solo match. So basically, it's kind of the same idea of top 3 are guaranteed to move into round of 16. If you're 4th or 5th, you have to enter another redemption match for one more shot to get into the round of 16. But we'll keep tabs on that every Saturday. Returning to how things are in the team matches, now that we've had a couple more results, let's take a look at the standings so far. And I don't think anyone's going to be too surprised to see Kwangdong Freecks. They continue to reign supreme.
Kwangdong Freecks is completely ahead of the pack right now. Seongnam ROX is the only team that has a chance to catch up today because they are now playing that second match along with MIRAEN and Sejong.
Yeah, MIRAEN and Sejong, of course. I mean, taking that first loss against a team that most would say they absolutely should have beaten in all ways. Now that means they're really kind of pressed for time, right? You only have, as you can see, there's only 8 teams, so you have a very set number of matches, and you have all these other pro teams left in front of you for Sejong. So teams like the ROX today and the Freaks, you know, and the Live Sandbox, these powerhouse teams. So MIRAEN and Sejong quite desperate for that win, but I'm glad you pointed out, Peter, Seongnam ROX, of course, they are now in prime position to try to challenge the Kwangdong Freecks. Taking a look at the fan predictions today. Okay, still a lot of good faith for MIRAEN and Sejong in their match tonight.
Certainly seems like Seongnam ROX, despite having a pretty nice rebuilding, I would say, just the roster of MIRAEN and Sejong really stand out. And on the side of Kwangdong Freecks against NUTMITE, it's kind of hard to favor an amateur team over a team that's been constantly winning our KDLs.
Yeah, I mean, Kwangdong Freecks, they won, you know, the team matches for both preseason 1 and 2, so they've been revving up all the way to the regular season. No surprise that they're the favorites. Now, going down to Desperado and Finale Esports, I mean, I gotta say, probably these votes are coming in purely off of individual results that we've seen so far of the rosters of both teams, but Desperado's had some surprising moments already in their 2 matches so far.
That's a great point because certainly in the standings right now, Desperado, they're sitting in 3rd place, Finale Esports. They do have 2 losses, so they're in 8th place right now. But just as you put it, the individual players from Finale Esports, they do have a more decorated player history career. So that is why we see that favoritism.
All right, well, without further ado, we will be kicking off our 3 matches tonight. Once again, it's 3 team matches, and our very first one, as they enter the stage with joy, it's going to be the newly revamped Seongnam ROX.
Seongnam ROX Esports, they've gone through a major rebuilding in their roster. Almost every single player here is completely new, and they haven't had well, they haven't played too much of the season yet to really say whether they've had a successful start or not. They do have at least that 1 win, and to get another win today against a team like MIRAEN and Sejong would be the dream come true.
Yeah, it'd be huge, right? Especially because MIRAEN and Sejong, again, individually very decorated, very historical players. I mean, yes, they're new in terms of the banner, in terms of joining under a new pro team that has now entered the KDL. MIRAEN and Sejong as an organization was not part of the preseason. But you look at the individual history, I mean, right up front, you have Hero. Right behind him is his old coach and now teammate Hojun. I mean, all 4 of these players have been around for quite some time. And they're also trying to follow suit behind Kwangdong Freecks and say 4 is enough in terms of the roster.
It certainly is when you have a player like Hojun, especially such a star in our KDL. And many of our fellow pro players are saying when they think of MIRAEN and Sejong, the aura of having Hojun on that team is just really stands out.
I like what you did there because it's a mix of aura and sensation players. Like, I get it. Even if you didn't intend it, just ride with it. All right, we're going with it. Intentional pun.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, but overall, we'll take a look at the closer look of that roster. Now, what's interesting here is a lot of these players on both sides have actually played together during the preseason. So you'll take a look. You might recognize Bung over here on Seongnam ROX. He used to be known as Joker in preseason 2. He was picked up by Hojun to join Sensation, round out their new roster for preseason 2. Now they've parted ways. He's now joined as an opponent here on Seongnam ROX. And this is just jabbing a little fun at that ace match that MIRAEN and Sejong had over on Miami Drive. Did not go so well if you watched it. A bit of a crucial risk play and a big mistake coming out from guard, and they that served them that first loss here for MIRAEN SEJONG.
That is certainly not the day you want to remember as MIRAEN SEJONG, so I love that salt being rubbed into the wounds there. But despite that unfortunate start, MIRAEN SEJONG is a team that definitely has a bright future ahead of them right now. You can see a perfect description of them would be a team that has impeccable calmness. They are so good in speed battles.
Yeah, I mean, speed, absolutely. I think you can always favor these guys. Even if it's against a team like the Kwangdong Freaks, I think this is a team where you can say, no, I think they have a good shot, right, of competing in the speed mode. They have such storied players. Obviously, Hojin, used to be known as the Emperor of Kart Rider. Hero was one of the first Royal Roaders after so long. And now they're just saying, obviously, this is a matchup of two cities as well. So Sejong and Seongnam, both cities that are now sponsoring their own teams with, alongside other sponsors and kind of co-joining as these organizations, which is interesting to note, right? We've been seeing more of that here in Korean esports across different titles, and curious to see which city is going to come out on top tonight here at the KDL.
Well, you definitely want to impress your sponsors because that is the most important thing here. But of course, now we can go ahead and take a look at our speed track list, and it is going to be MIRAEN SEJONG that won the coin flip. So of course they took speed priority because that's where they're strong at. Desert Construction, Chaos, Terracotta Twister, and Shanghai Circuit were their pickups. The first two tracks are not that surprising. The Shanghai Circuit is the little kind of new ball in the park.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the other tracks are fairly veteran tracks. Handy Harbor is returning here to the KDL for the first time, but obviously as a track in and of itself, it's been around the Kart Rider universe for quite some time, and as most of these tracks have. But I'm interested that they took speed priority and then selected one of the most difficult tracks. It's as if they're trying to say, we don't care about item mode, we'll leave that up to the future, but we're making sure we shut you down right off the get-go because they want to take us to the chaotic world of Desert Construction Chaos. And the race begins with Seongnam ROX in red, and we have MIRAEN SEJONG in blue.
And we see right now a fierce battle for that top 1-2 spot already. And it feels like the field is pretty even here in the beginning portion.
Yeah, I mean, Hero already a pretty hefty lead alongside Guard, and Hojin is close behind him to make sure to support. So Boong, I mean, he's doing what he can to try to make sure pressure is applied, and that's given some time for players like Navi and Looning to catch up. However, Guard just so far ahead, and you have to remember, both of these teams actually had just continuous 1-2, if not 1-2-3 finishes in their past team match.
And there's so much focus right now on trying to gather that control. You can see the midfield is ROX having a lot of control. In fact, Navi's going to take a huge lead there.
Yeah, Hojin actually scraping against the wall just a bit, and will have to make way towards Navi. Of course, a two-lapper, so no one taking any too big of a risk there on the 90 turns, but Looning with some great blocks on Hojin. Now it's up to Guard to try to shoot it. Looning bumps him again. The sweeping in second place is just impeccable right now, and Navi now with the hefty lead way out of draft range.
Navi has such a lead right now that there's a good chance he'll keep it up if Looning can keep up the support. But keep in mind that the midfield is heavily dominated by MIRAEN SEJONG right now. Boong and Acid Fly, they're so far behind.
Yeah, so right now, Boong, he just has to disrupt that midfield. Meanwhile, Navi and Looning, they have to hold on to 1-2. You can only imagine that the Seongnam ROX comms right now are just saying, you know what, just focus on the 1-2. We're not sure what we can do here from 7th and 8th place. And Looning, he's very close behind Navi. He is prepped to block whoever approaches just like he did right now.
Yeah, this is the portion of the track where everyone kind of has to slow down to avoid getting a huge collision. And of course, that opens up the room for Hojin to now come in. With that 1-2 gone, ROX is significantly behind.
Yeah, I mean, this is enough, right? If this just ends the way it does, but Hojin, he tried to slow down, but it wasn't enough. The speed a little too far ahead than he had imagined. He bumps into the corner. Now the 1-2 back in favor of MIRAEN SEJONG. And I don't think it's going to be enough even if Hero tries to disrupt the 1-2. It will not happen. Seongnam ROX comes out ahead on the track pick of MIRAEN SEJONG.
That was a incredibly unfortunate timing on that collision there from Hojin. And it was Hero at the end that tried his best to break that 1-2 from ROX, but unfortunately he couldn't. And what a great start from Seongnam ROX here to win speed round 1 against MIRAEN SEJONG, who's good at speed, and also this was their track pick. They prioritize speed. Yeah,
I mean, this is not the start that you want to see if you're a fan of MIRAEN SEJONG, and As for Seongnam ROX, now this is their 4th track that they've won in speed mode in team matches so far in the regular season. Of course, they took round 2 through 4 in their very first match against FNL, and all 4 track wins so far have been with a 1-2 finish. I mean, that just goes to show, again, it's been Looning and Navi that have continuously just stayed ahead of the entire pack. Looning, on your screen right now, of course, was the last champion that we had in the preseason for solo matches. So, goes to show, the confidence is there when it comes to speed.
Absolutely. Seongnam ROX off to a phenomenal start here on speed round 1. But now, speed round 2 continues in Village Handy Harbor. We get into the race right here. Now keep in mind, Handy Harbor is a track where if you fall behind, you can fall significantly behind. So teamwork is going to be crucial.
Yeah, and of course these shortcuts are so narrow as well, so there's a bit of a risk-reward play. But if you don't take those, you might as well be out of the race. So you have to make sure you time your turns correctly. And Acid Fly's putting on the pressure. He's cutting things close, but he's not losing too much speed. He hasn't bumped the corners just yet, and he's able to pressure Hojin. Hojin not able to get too far ahead for the time being. Acid Fly with a great drift around that final corner as we enter lap 2.
Acid Fly is doing a great job contesting MIRAEN Sejong's frontliners right now, and Seongnam ROX, they're now getting that midfield control as well. So Acid Fly, he's going to get that backup he needs.
Yeah, Acid Fly, all he had to do was try to play it safe, but he is going to drift a little too tightly, will eventually scrape the corner, but not to worry. Looning now in contention, a great sweep from Guard. Oh, Looning almost bumped against the corner there in the tunnel, but we're seeing a lot of collisions against these walls. As we know, once again, you don't lose your boost gauge anymore when you collide into the wall, so players are trying to be more aggressive both on the attack and the defense.
And Guard is doing such a great job sweeping right now. Acid Fly couldn't pass him by even once. Guard is always there to protect Hojin. This 1-2 is tough to get.
Yeah, and the out to in setup for Hojin as Guard. All he's doing is blocking Acid Fly, and Hero even bumps him out of the race. And it's going to be Hojin, Guard, and Hero entering in the 1-2-3. And there's something about these teams and the way they finish dominantly, because on the side of MIRAEN Sejong, the 1-2-3 is oftentimes how they would finish in their winning tracks in the first match, and it's returned once again.
I loved the teamwork there from Hojin and Guard that really allowed for this 1-2-3 victory to happen. It feels like Hero just came in at the end when the table's already set up. He just had to toss his spoon on there because Hojin, he had such a easy time focusing on his own lines because Guard was buying him so much space with all the collisions.
Yeah, no, Guard had a great block there towards the end of that 3rd lap, and Hojin was able to just set up for the optimal line going outside towards the inside, and Guard was just there to make sure that he blocks any sort of attack from the inner line. So great teamwork. I mean, it just goes to show again, the 4-man roster, it's a powerhouse, because it used to be Nock, who was actually right behind Hojin in terms of overall average placings in the team match so far. Nock falls far behind. He's just playing the midfield. It's still the other 3 players that finish 1, 2, and 3. So now they trade tracks. We reset in a 1-1 scoreline here for the speed mode as we get ready for track 3. It is MIRAEN Sejong's pick of World Tour Terracotta Twister. Tied 1-1, we return to MSJ's pick. Can they make sure they get the lead this time around? All players just trying to make sure they not only do a little sweeping, but gather up all the boost gauges towards these long stretches in the middle of the track.
Terracotta Twister is certainly a track that's really hard to get too big of a lead on, because even if you get a significant lead right here, once you enter the tomb sections, things really start to change up.
Yeah, I mean, you can't play too aggressively in the tomb section. You definitely don't want to take that risk if you're ahead. So that does give an opportunity. Navi with a nice opening, but he doesn't have much backup just yet. So I gotta imagine that he's gonna be alone all the way through here. Guard losing a little bit of control there on those first couple turns. He's gonna drift a little too far wide, and he just has to make sure that he stays alive. He doesn't fall too far behind. He's still in 7th place, and it's going to be Looning, who's actually all the way far back. You can see on the minimap, and we see another bump back for Seongnam ROX. So again, it's not looking too good.
Yeah, Nox losing that advantage is going to be really hard. Acid Fly, he does manage to pass Hero, but keep in mind this 1-2 is having a significant lead right now, and Hero, he can once again try and go for the block.
Yeah, Hero, you can see, just look at the way he's driving. It's all just about sweeping, and while he does take the risk, he gets bumped back on that corner. That means guard is right there as well. I can only imagine the comms are so crisp right now for MIRAEN and Sejong. Meanwhile, Hojin and Nok, I mean, they are just tied at the hip as they continue in that 1-2 position. Acid Fly should have one opportunity here on the intersection, but it's not going to be too easy.
MIRAEN and Sejong completely dominating the field right now. Even if Acid Fly breaks the 1-2, Seongnam ROX, they're stuck in that 5-6-8 position right now. It's looking so good for MIRAEN and Sejong.
Yeah, Acid Fly, I don't think there's an opportunity where you can do anything. If you were able to maybe sweep out, everyone but Nok, maybe then there was an opening, but another 1, 2, and 3 combo here for MIRAEN and Sejong as they lead 2-1.
It feels like if you give that lead over to Hojin, he's always having that backup ready to go, and Seongnam ROX, they're really struggling to kind of match the backup that Hojin's been able to get for the teammates.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it right in their pose as well. All they're aiming for is going for that #1, and they're well on their way, at least in speed mode. Of course, even if they are able to close things out 3-1, we'll have to wait and see if the item mode has improved for this squad of MIRAEN and Sejong. But so far, all smiles on their faces as they recover after a bit of a rough loss in the very first track.
It was rough, but given how things went in round 2 and 3 of Speed, I feel like all the momentum is starting to really shift towards MIRAEN and Sejong. They just need one more track victory to close off Speed.
Yeah, and we will be awaiting our round 4, which is going to take us to Village Bayside Bridge Run. Another one where, you can just try to catch up as it's a bit of a field track. We'll wait and see if MIRAEN and Sejong can close things out.
Our Speed round 4 kicks off in ROX's choice of track. ROX, they need to win this track to give us a best of 5 here. Because MIRAEN and Sejong, this is match point for them.
Yeah, and for the first time in this speed mode so far, we're finally getting a chance to mention Boong, who was kind of missing from all the standings so far. But this time he shoots ahead, way out up front, just trying to apply pressure, make sure he sets up for Looning, who is going to be that star player, the speed ace, the runner here for Seongnam ROX. And Boong doing a great job. Navi now here to just try to disrupt the midfield as they pass the bridge.
ROX certainly doing a great job this time around, being the ones to control that 1-2. And you can see Hero and Hojin, their goal right now is to absolutely break this. But Guard and Nok, they do seem to be winning against Acid Fly.
Yeah, but Boong is just doing a great job of blocking out any sort of attempt to enter into 2. He even tried to do a bit of a stop there on that last corner, but Hero's going to find an opportunity, doesn't lose too much momentum. And as we enter the last and second lap here, it's going to be Hero in prime position to contest against Looning, and now it's up to Hojin to try to block off for support.
Hojin had a great block on Boong there, but the fact that he has to block both Boong and Navi is going to force him to once again focus on his own lines here. They did deny that 1-2 from ROX right now. MIRAEN and Sejong looking really strong with this Hero and Hojin duo.
Yeah, and Hojin, now he's split off the attacks from Seongnam ROX. He just has to play these 1v1s, Hero against Looning as well. And Hojin's constantly trying to find the draft to apply extra pressure, trying to see if they can get the 1-2 themselves. Hojin's just repositioning for an optimal line as we enter the last couple curves.
Looning with the Hero play right now. He was able to take back the first place. Blocked out Hero
Hojin!
So many times.
Oh, meanwhile, Looning and Hero both taking that inner side, and Hero's just going to take a bit of a too sharp of a turn. He will lose too much momentum, and meanwhile, it will be Looning finishing in first, and then it's the 1, 3, 4, and 6 for Seongnam ROX for a hefty point lead, tying things 2-2.
The track choice for Seongnam ROX came in clutch here. They navigated Village Bayside Bridge Run so optimally. It felt like they were ahead of MIRAEN and Sejong as a team overall. There was too much pressure on Hojin and Hero to perform, and Hojin at the end, he took a big collision, and that was the end.
Yeah, I mean, that was a bit rough. I mean, Hojin was doing what he could, but obviously a huge collision into the wall, loses all momentum, and then he has to reset a bit too late into the track. Meanwhile, Looning continuing his supremacy in this speed mode team match, and that brings us to the set point here, round 5, and this was the track we talked about. Not one you would have expected for a lot of these veteran players coming in from the preseason. But with the addition of WKC Shanghai Circuit, it is going to be MIRAEN and Sejong who have selected this for round 5. They believe they can overcome this 2-2 scoreline to win out speed mode against Seongnam ROX. And we're off for the last track of speed mode between these two teams. Whoever wins will be leading in set point in this team match.
And we see right now Boong having a phenomenal start, having such a huge lead. And of course, it's Hero and Hojin again to try to contest.
Yeah, and as it goes with a lot of these WKC tracks, it's wide open field tracks with a lot of these shortcuts across the grass, but you have to make sure you time your drafts and your boost correctly because you are going to lose a little bit of speed there on the grass.
And also the midfield having a ROX just so dominantly sitting there right now. I'm sure Navi's going to catch up soon to apply some pressure to Hojin, but Hojin's able to expertly dodge out.
Yeah, I gotta say, the way in the back, as we're seeing in our picture-in-picture, there's not too much of a chance so far from Guard and Nog to try to overcome. So a lot of pressure on Hojin right now to get up to Hero and make sure they find an opening for a 1-2 finish.
And Hero did finally catch up to Boong to get in for that draft range, but it doesn't change the fact that Seongnam ROX is doing so good right now here as a team. Boong refusing to give up that first place.
Yeah, meanwhile, in the picture-in-picture, finally we see Guard in range to draft off of Looney alongside Nog. Can they overcome that? Because if they don't, it's all up to Hero and Hojin. If they don't get the 1-2, there's no shot that MIRAEN SEJONG can win this track.
And that's the gameplay right now. We're seeing Seongnam ROX really do. They refuse to allow Hero to get in place.
Oh, Navi with an excellent 1-2 block across the hairpins. Gets a double block against Hero, and Hero is knocked all the way back into 8th place. Nok will do what he can for any sort of redemption. He's trying to sweep and stop all the players of ROX, but he can't do that on a field track like this. And eventually it is going to be Seongnam ROX who wins speed mode against MIRAEN SEJONG.
This was the best way Seongnam ROX could have shown us today, their second match of the season, being able to win speed here in their opponent's choice of track at that, coming in with the 1-2-3-4 finish, really shows off how good this team is.
Man, I mean, that double block coming out from Navi, that's my MVP for that round because it was just expertly placed around the hairpins. I mean, Hero, he tries to recover from the first one, but he can't on the second bump, and he loses all speed, goes all the way down to 7th place. Same with, Hojin, who was up there alongside him, but it was a 2v4. I mean, you got to give credit to ROX more than anything because they were able to make sure they controlled the midfield, and eventually they just kind of piled onto the two racers coming up from MIRAEN SEJONG.
And you can really see how nervous Boong was there, all the pressure he had and trying to maintain that first place, because Boong definitely was the hero for Seongnam ROX along with Navi in the sense that it was him that kept that 1-2 condition away from MIRAEN SEJONG for such a large portion of that track.
And now we will see a bit of a roster swap here for Seongnam ROX as they get prepared for item mode. Their item ace Lens will be coming in, and Acid Fly will be sitting out here for the item mode. Lens, he's always been known as a strong item ace player. Wait to see if he can continue to prove his worth as one of the few item aces on these pro teams.
And of course, on the side of MIRAEN SEJONG, they do not have an item ace. They completely rely on their 4-man roster that they utilize in speed. And it's been a weak point for MIRAEN SEJONG when it comes to item mode, so you have to wonder if they can turn it around.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to, right? They banked on speed mode. They went all in. They started off on a difficult track, and they still were not able to come out on top. So now, comes down to item mode. Seongnam ROX, of course, will have that first pick in return. And we're seeing, a lot of teams still trying to pick up on some of these graveyard tracks that have entered here for the regular season. But MIRAEN SEJONG, they're going to stick to the tried and true Glacier Polar Halfpipe for the second round.
And you also got to keep in mind that Seongnam ROX, they've chosen 2 3-star difficulty tracks, whereas MIRAEN SEJONG also took 1 3-star. So it is a pretty nice mix of both. We're seeing that neither teams are really scared of the new meta around the new items.
Yeah, of course, the new items only appearing on those 3-star tracks. Things like the Siren that really let you play much more aggressively. And then you even have the scanner where you can get a bit of a look into the opponent's arsenal. We'll see how that comes into play, but for now, we start with a 2-star track. It's going to be Graveyard Dark Castle.
We kick off into the race here in Graveyard Dark Castle. Our first 2 tracks of item mode are going to be a 2-star difficulty, so we are not going to have those new items around.
Yeah, so it's just going to be the old set of items, but with the higher gears, again, overall, the tempo has gotten a lot faster here for item mode, which means tempo play in terms of the meta has been the go-to for most times. I mean, if you have a wombo combo set up, sure, use it in the 3rd track, but you can't just wait until the 3rd track anymore.
And I love how ROX really recognizing that it is important to stay ahead. Had a really nice dodge there on the water bomb. It felt like it might have hit every single player from ROX, but they dodged it so well. And now you can see that lead really starting to build here for Navi.
Yeah, I mean, Navi, he gets slowed down a little bit by the UFO, but Lens is still there to provide a little bit of support right behind him. He's even got double missiles, right? So if anyone gets ahead of him, tries to contest against Navi, they're going to have to deal with Lens's attacks. Guard getting sent all the way back with a little bit of a spin out. A nice hit onto Hero, and Hero continuously just not able to accelerate once again. And it's a 1-2-3 lead in terms of just pure speed here, and we're in item mode.
That water bomb was way too huge for MIRAEN Sejong to recover from knock. He's going to throw a bomb of his own, but he's too far behind to actually connect, and now it's up to Hojin. He's got a missile.
Yeah, but he gets stopped right outside of the teleport to another water bomb as well. Things are not looking great for MIRAEN Sejong as we get ready for lap number 3. And Navi and Lens, they are just piling shield after shield, dodging all sorts of attacks. They even have double Guardian Angel over on Navi. Unless you're able to get a couple more magnets, maybe another UFO, something that can attack without being disrupted by shields, MIRAEN Sejong, it's looking a little dicey. They have caught up, but they still don't have a good answer against Lens and all the shields he's been picking up.
Lens, he picks up another shield here. You can see MIRAEN Sejong, they're holding on to an EMP, not very helpful. Hojin, he did manage to throw out the water wisp, but it got shielded out.
Yeah, but here comes the UFO. It's going to slow him down to the last 300 meters, and Lens, he's just desperately trying to get ahead. The wisp gets blocked by the Guardian Angel. Can he body block them and cross the finish line? He will, and Lens will bring home the first round victory in item mode for Seongnam ROX.
What a heroic play from the item ace of Seongnam ROX. It felt like the whole match was dependent on whether Lens was able to finish first or not, but that Angel coming out and the shield right after, everything was timed so perfectly. The defense of Seongnam ROX really shined in this match.
Yeah, I mean, once again, this is where that, the higher upgrades, the more gears that we have for our car bodies comes into play. The higher top speed, the higher acceleration, even some of the better boosts depending on how you switch it up. Now, we have seen players, they're a bit more varied when it comes to item mode upgrades, but at the end of the day, if you're able to get a hefty lead, that tempo pays off in moments like this. Unless you have just a crazy, massive wombo combo, you don't have a good answer to that because you have to use everything to barely catch up as MSJ did.
And I honestly feel like MIRAEN Sejong, they did have a nice response. Just that Seongnam ROX was always a step ahead of them, but now they have a chance for redemption here in round 2 in Glacier Polar Half-Pipe.
Another 2-star track here to kick things off in item mode. Currently, Seongnam ROX leading 1-0, so no new items. But again, you can't let Seongnam ROX get too far ahead like you did in that first round if MIRAEN Sejong want to have a better hope of keeping this match alive.
And if there's something we know about Glacier Polar Half-Pipe, it is that there's this ramp here that you kind of boost off, and you can see if Hojin and Navi get stopped out by a water bomb, things like that on the third lap can be really devastating.
Yeah, meanwhile, way up front, we have Guard and Lens, both of them some hefty defensive items. Guard surely going to cycle out at least one of those EMPs. He's actually going to get denied one of the items there. And so Guard, he's going to have to wait for another round here, and he's going to slow down just a bit, make sure Lens can't block him from another pickup. But once again, just left with one singular EMP for Guard after cycling.
And certainly we are seeing right now Guard, he does have the magnet for catching up when needed. Boom. He's holding on to no defensive capabilities, so Lens is going to have to absorb a lot of this aggro here.
Yeah, Navi, meanwhile, he had the double boost all the way in 8th place. He used one to cycle, picked up another one. Now he's set up. He could even try to take the shortcut right now if he so wished. He is going to get spun out, so he falls all the way far behind. But he'll catch right back up. Yeah, he used one to get onto the shortcut. He's still got another one. So now he's set up for a variety of plays. Oh, he's going to fall off after the spin out. That's going to push him back far, far behind.
And MIRAEN Sejong, you can see that they've been holding on to those 2 magnets for quite some time. So you can see that there's a lot of strategy on the side of MIRAEN to have that catch-up potential if needed, as we see Knock and Guard leading without much defensive capabilities.
Yeah, if Hero just gets close enough, I mean, Guard can jump up onto that shortcut, and then Hero can try to catch up to him with a magnet of himself. Make sure they have double up on that shortcut. They have a Guardian Angel as well, but lots of boosts across the board. Hojin with 2 of his own as well. No one too concerned here from the front, but we're going to see Hojin. He uses one to get ahead. He's still got another boost, but there's 2 members right behind him. Boong actually shoots forward, all of them with the nitrous. We don't see any strong attacks. Hero has to land that magnet. Does he get it on the opponent? He's going to be able to catch up, but not enough. Boom, with the body blocks, Guardian Angels and shields across. Boom, another shield, and it's going to make sure he crosses the finish line in first place, now leading 2-0 in item mode.
The fact that Boong had a Nitrous at the end there was so crucial. He was sitting on a Nitrous and a shield, and just before he hit the final item box, he did utilize that Nitrous, and that gave him the little advantage he needed to finish first here for ROX. And Seongnam ROX now leading 2-0 in item. This is really scary for MIRAEN Sejong.
Yeah, and here's the thing, it's not just about Hojin, right? All four of these players are MIRAEN Sejong. They have such storied careers. And we got to remember, MIRAEN Sejong actually won the event match that was going on down in Daejeon, right? For the Kartrider Drift Invitational that they had with a couple of these teams. Such a good showing ahead of the regular season. And now if they start their season 0-2, and mind you, sure, Seongnam ROX is a pro team, but they are not the KWANGDONG Freaks or Live Sandbox, right? It's not like, okay, these are matches you were probably going to lose anyway. These are matches that MIRAEN Sejong were somewhat expected to win. And if you start with a 0-2 record, your hopes for the postseason are looking pretty dire.
But they still have some hope left in the team MIRAEN Sejong. They just need to win 3 tracks in a row, back-to-back in item mode. And that first set needs to begin here on round 3, held in World Tour Venice Gondola Tour. We get into our item round 3. This is a match point for Seongnam ROX. If they win this track, then Seongnam ROX is going to go home with a 2-0 win in sets. MIRAEN Sejong, however, they need to win 3 rounds to take us to an ace match.
Yeah, and we already saw that Siren come out into play right off the get-go. Again, we are now on to our first 3-star track of the night, which means some of these new items like the Siren, the Big Banana, and the Scanner will be coming into play.
And you can see Hojin, he takes a big lead for himself there, but the missile's going to catch him off. And Hojin, he's holding onto a Siren, and I'm sure he's holding onto it for a more opportune moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's one item you can use both aggressively and defensively. We saw Hero use it earlier to block off, you know, some of the struggling players here from Seongnam ROX. So I imagine Hojin keeps that for quite some time. No real need to use it just yet. The scanners are coming out, so they have some better ideas. Hojin now choosing to cycle. Make sure that the tempo is kept for guard. More than anything, that Siren there was used to make sure they keep the lead. Meanwhile, Lens, he tried to go for the shortcut, but he's going to just have to take the wider angle here.
Yeah, Hojin was holding onto that Siren for so long, but he used it at a perfect moment. Now Lens forced to utilize the Magnet in order to catch up. Guard with so many shields, it's impossible to stop his flow right now.
Yeah, Hojin, it looked like he was just trying to cycle through, see if he can get some other items to support his teammates right now. I mean, sure, the barricade is there, but it's not going to serve too much purpose. Meanwhile, Looning with the Siren and the Lightning Bolt as well as we get through halfway of the last lap.
That is certainly a scary Lightning Bolt. MIRAEN Sejong, they don't have any Angels, and we're already on the final lap. As we see Lens, he has a significant lead. Hojin has a lot of catch-up to do.
Yeah, Hojin was able to at least land onto that shortcut, get the extra boost. The attacks land on Lens as well, and Hojin right behind him. Now it is going to be about those items. Now Guard does have a UFO. This is something that MIRAEN Sejong, they can try to line up perfectly. The water bomb first. The shield was a little late, but so does Hojin. He gets spun out as well. And now Boom already in place to try to recover. Hero overtakes him. Oh, the shield not able to block all the attacks simultaneously, as we see so many team attacks coming out at once. Everyone's spinning out, but Hero is able to barely make it in between the barricades. Will recover that victory and keep MIRAEN Sejong alive.
Those barricades were so perfectly timed that it kept throwing off the tempo in the front lines, and it felt like ROX, they might have been able to finish it off, but more attacks came in, and in the end, it's Hero who was able to remain focused and break through the defense of Seongnam ROX.
Yeah, oh man, that shield from Hero, I was a little scared, right? He used it to try to dodge one of the attacks, but the barricade comes in as well. And he's not able to block everything at once. He's going to get bumped back by the barricade. But I think, you know, he was happy with that, because if he had gotten spun out by the rocket, then he would have lost a lot more speed. He's just able to recover around those other barricades. Meanwhile, Lightning Bolts coming up from MIRAEN Sejong in the last second gives him one more opportunity for Hero to edge things out in round 3. Now trailing 1-2 in item mode.
Well, that's the first step that we kind of
That is
wanted to
true.
see. And now the second step needs to be taken here. The round 4, MIRAEN Sejong needs to win. And it is their track of choice here in Factory Cogwheel Crush.
Kick off round 4 on another 3-star track, and if we are able to go all the way to track 5, we will continue the trend of these 3-star tracks with the new items. Now, MIRAEN Sejong, they found some good success with those items like the Siren in the previous round. Here's to see if it happens again here in round 4.
And we're seeing right now that Guard has been holding on to those double shields for quite some time, so I wouldn't be too surprised if we see Guard actually getting a huge lead off this start here. Lens, he does have a magnet to catch up.
Yeah, Hero, meanwhile, with a Magnet Boost combo already. I mean, you could easily use this from the get-go just to keep some tempo, or if someone like Lens gets ahead of him, something to just draw him back, make sure Guard with a double shield is going to be able to keep that lead. Knock with a nice Siren block. Meanwhile, the attack's now coming out for Lens. Guard continuously being set up by his teammates to just stay in first place. The double shield's paying off so well as he blocks off 2 Wisps in a row.
And Guard was expertly able to pick up 2 item boxes just now, so he's once again going to have 2 shields up his arsenal. He's able to dodge out all these water bombs and missiles like they're coming at in such a slow pace.
Yeah, finally another UFO is going to be what slows him down. So it took 2 UFOs to just barely catch up to him. Now Lens in position, but he's going to get spun out. That means Guard starts to shoot far forward again with another double shield. Unless you get another magnet or a UFO like you did just now, you're not going to slow this guy down.
It's looking really rough right now for ROX. Navi, he picks up a missile, but Guard, he has 2 shields once again to respond. And Navi, he gets a hit by an attack.
Yeah, okay, so now we do have 2 magnets on the side of ROX. One gets used right now, but you still have another one and a magnet boost combo. That's going to be the answer here for Boong. No EMP in sight for MIRAEN Sejong. Hero does have his own combo as well. Now it's all about the timing. It's going to be a game of chicken. And what is this? Guard actually just allowing him to get ahead because they have the UFO. They wanted to try to see if they can maybe draw out some of those other defenses. Boong's just going to eat it.
And Looning right now, he's going to be able to take that shortcut in the middle. In fact, 5 of the players do. So it is going to be a contested round here. Hojin, he's holding on to no item besides the boost. And now the magnet is going to connect on Hero, but that's not enough. And MIRAEN Sejong finds a response here in round 4 of item, tying us 2-2. Taking us to that round 5.
Yeah, really good setup, right? Hojin, he has the boost and the Guardian Angel, so he uses both to make sure they don't get hit by other attacks. That allows Hero to then magnet boost off of Hojin. So even though Hero also gets magneted from behind, it's enough momentum to shoot him forward before he gets drawn back, loses that acceleration, and he's going to cross the finish line first. Now tying things up, and Peter, you said it. It was a simple 1-2-3 step here for MIRAEN Sejong to try to catch up, and they've done 2 out of 3.
MIRAEN Sejong, they certainly don't want to go home today, starting off the official season of KDL with a 0-2 start. This is the most important time of the year for our pro players here. You can see that right now reflected in Boong, really praying that they don't go to that ace match.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see because it comes to the ace match. You don't know who's going to enter from MIRAEN Sejong. All 4 players are quite formidable. We'll have to find out as we go to the last item track. It is going to be Mine Mother Load.
This is the most important track here in item mode. Seongnam ROX desperately wanting to close it off before we get to ace, whereas MIRAEN Sejong, they need this to get that one more chance.
Yeah, so if you've been following the KDL, obviously if you've been playing the game as well, you're going to be very familiar with this track. But again, the new items are now in play as this is considered a 3-star track despite being a 3-lapper. So it's going to be a bit of a marathon with all these items being fired off back to back.
And we're seeing a lot of sirens being held here. I love the timing that our players have been utilizing the siren for. They seem to use it to knock their opponents in the most unfortunate timings of the tracks where if you get set behind, you really fall behind.
Yeah, especially some of these corners, right, where you're just going to have to even lose extra speed to try to recourse yourself and your car. And a lot of times these sirens are used purely as a defense mechanic more than anything rather than trying to shoot far forward. So it's a lot of these kind of midfield players or the second place players that are using it as a sweeping tool. We've seen a lot of success there. Now, a lot of wisps and shields, so I imagine these are all going to be traded back and forth at the front of the pack.
Lens was able to block out that attack with the shield of his own, but Hojin took a expert maneuver on the shortcut there. Now he's gonna take that lead. I like that he's holding onto a shield and a EMP. He has a lot of defensive options.
Yeah, he purposely coursed himself to make sure he gets double items, tries to deny the extra item pickup, but also gets these extra defensive choices. Already used the shield, he's able to keep that speed. Boom, meanwhile losing everything on the spin out. And the Magnet's gonna get EMP'd as well. Hojin now playing for the tempo play, still has another EMP and a shield, uses the EMP again, and the shield to block off all attacks. He is way far ahead, and what a water bomb on Lens as he tries to catch up with the Magnet.
That was certainly a good timing on that water bomb. Now so much pressure on Navi to catch up. You can see MIRAEN and Sejong, they are controlling this top portion of the field so well, giving so much space for Hojin.
Yeah, so many EMPs, so many shields on the side of MIRAEN and Sejong. The Guardian Angel was just used as well. Hojin with another shield of his own. The Wisp not going to hit. Now this time just the banana. He finally gets slowed down. Isn't enough though as Looning gets spun out. He cannot keep the acceleration. Double items. We do have a rocket, but now Hero alongside Hojin, and he's got the boost ready to go. So Hojin just trying to eat whatever attacks he can. That just set up Hero for an opening to boost forward.
And Hojin with the shield there's going to be able to block out the missile. We see Boom was holding on to a Magnet right now. ROX trying to catch up with the Magnet, but it's not enough. Hero comes in first place, and we do have MIRAEN and Sejong with the reverse sweep here, taking us to that ace match.
And this is where the mind games happen, right? Without that scanner coming into play for Seongnam ROX, it seemed like they targeted the Magnet onto Hojin, who was in first place. They wanted to get maximum acceleration, but that just meant that Hojin just resets. Meanwhile, it's Hero who is able to use his own boost to just gain that extra speed. Cross the finish line first. Hojin happy to be the sacrificial lamb if it just means that they are able to get to an ace match.
What a turnaround here. It felt like MIRAEN and Sejong, by the time we got to that round 2 of item, that they may be going home as a sad team today, but they were able to pull off the impossible with their backs pushed against the wall. And now when it comes to an ace match, although MIRAEN and Sejong, they lost their first ace match, they are still a team that really accelerates in this role.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have to remember that previous ace match, so Guard entered that ace match, and it had been 2,846 days since his previous ace match, right? That's several years. So maybe we cut him a little bit of slack. I gotta imagine today, with the very high chance that it's Looning who's going to be entering from Seongnam ROX, of course, as the preseason 2 champion of solo matches. It's probably Hero or Hojin, but I'm curious. Probably depends on the track. Is it going to be Hero, who was kind of the rising star after Hojin, one of the rising stars after Hojin, trying to become the next Emperor? Or is it going to be Long Live the King Hojin, trying to reclaim his throne?
I definitely agree with you there that Looning is going to be the player from Seongnam ROX most likely. And just as you put it, MIRAEN and Sejong, they have so many players that are capable of this ace match here. So many decorated players that they can pretty much take a pick based on confidence. Just a matter of, hey, today is a really important day for us. Who feels ready and excited to play this ace match?
Oh, I'm curious. I mean, I think there's a good story either way, right? If it's Hero and Looning, it's kind of these two guys who have been these rising stars. Hero perhaps a bit more storied because he is known as one of the few Royal Roaders in the original Kart Rider League. But if it's Hojin, it's about putting himself on the line to defend their future here in the regular season, because if they start 0-2, their chances of even entering 5th for the wildcard match suddenly look a little bit troublesome.
That's why today is such an important match for both teams, but especially for MIRAEN and Sejong here. As we take a look at the track for ace match, it is going to be Desert Construction Chaos.
All right, we return to the very first track of the night. This is track 1 in team speed mode. Now that time Seongnam ROX got the 1-2 finish. And there were quite a few aggressive plays from both teams, but it's going to be ROX who came out on top. Now we have to remember, in a 1v1, not as many chances, right? It's more about the mind games, the pressure you put on each other. And it is going to be Hojin. So it's going to be the OG Emperor himself trying to defend the throne here for MIRAEN and Sejong. Meanwhile, Looning says, you know what? your days are over. It's KDL time. I've already gotten the champion title in preseason once. Sure, it doesn't count for your overall career of official seasons, but Luning's tried to continue the same success here against Hojin in this ace match.
A perfect matchup between a classic veteran who's been around the kart rider scene for so long and continues to be a top player here today in KDL against Luning, one of our rising stars as we get ready to enter ace match here in Desert Construction Chaos.
And the ace match begins. Let's remember, back in preseason 1, Luning actually had a chance to compete against Hojun in an ace match, and he came out victorious. So if he can do it again, it's continued success of proving himself as one of the best 1v1 racers here in the KDL.
I'm sure the confidence is high on both sides right now. As we take a look at the heart rate monitor, Luning's heart rate is in 161 while Hojin's below 100.
I mean, this is where that veterancy comes into play, right? Surely, in some ways, there's more pressure for Hojin. He has much more to lose in this ace match, but he just says, this is just another day for me. I've been doing this for, over 10 years pretty much of competing here at the top level of kart rider. So Hojin just maintaining his posture. Luning trying to play aggressively, and Hojin happy to just let him get by for now.
Yeah, Hojin definitely doesn't have anything to lose off of that because he's still healthily in that draft range. So Hojin's just making sure that he doesn't make any mistakes by hitting a wall.
Yeah, he's just trying to make sure he doesn't repeat what happened in the team speed mode. Now both of them kind of neck and neck in terms of boost gauge. As we see Hojin, he was having to let Luning get ahead towards the end of the first lap, but now we're going to start to see him make his play as we enter lap 2.
Hojin really is trying to build up that lead right now, forcing Luning to play the catch-up. A lot of pressure being applied right here, but Luning, he's still within the range to draft, so he's applying that pressure back onto Hojin.
Yeah, and Hojin's just trying to play the stop game, but eventually, yeah, he's going to find that extra boost. So he was waiting for Luning to use those extra boosts that Luning so desperately got to try to make sure he catches up to Hojin. He stops him, gets his own second boost right on time, is able to keep the lead, now neck and neck again. But Hojin, oh, this time he plays aggressively. The conditioning from lap 1 coming into play.
Such a clean line from Hojin right there. Now he's going to be able to take the lead, as well as a bit of a boost gauge difference. He's leading right now in front of Luning.
And Luning, does he play aggressively around the 90 degrees? No, he can't make that risk, and Hojin, he makes another sharp turn to make sure he blocks Luning and make sure Luning doesn't have a shot. Luning will have one more opportunity if he's able to get the draft once they land here from the jump, but Hojin's trying to line himself up, make sure he can block anything, and another nice sweep from Hojin to make sure the outside turn does not come in from Luning. What a read, such awareness from the veteran himself, the king. Can he return in the regular season of KDL as he brings home the first victory for MIRAEN Sejong?
The veterancy of Hojin right there, having a perfect read, just like you said, Will. Luning, he went for such a nice play, trying to utilize the draft range, but Hojin was able to block in such a perfect time that Hojin, it just feels like he won in both the mind games and the race today.
Yeah, and it's just this awareness, right? Once they landed, Hojin goes for the first block on the inside. Once he knows he's blocked off Luning, instead of just trying to say, okay, let's just like boost and try to maintain top speed, he understands that the acceleration coming up from Luning around that drift is going to be faster because he loses less speed because it's a wider turn. And if the boost comes into play, he could lose. So he instead sweeps himself all the way to the outside as well and just keeps Luning in check. And now they're going to serve the first defeat to Seongnam ROX. ROX was hoping to catch up to the KWANGDONG Freaks, but today will not be that day. Meanwhile, MIRAEN Sejong, they return with a revitalized hope to remain in the running for the postseason.
And as we take a look at the match result for that match 8, in speed, it seemed like MIRAEN Sejong, they might be the team to win it, but Seongnam ROX was able to actually win that 3-2. And then in item mode, we talked about MIRAEN Sejong having a weakness there, and they were losing 0-2, but with the miracle turn back, it ended up being 3-2 for MSJ. And finally, this ace match was such a nail-biter, it was Hojin coming out on top in the end.
Yeah, very clutch win. And you know what? I'll admit it. I thought it was over when it was 2-0 in the item mode. When you said they just have to win 3 tracks, I kind of chuckled at myself. But hey, I was wrong. MIRAEN Sejong, there's a reason that a lot of people have high hopes for this team, and it's the fact that they will not give up because they know how good they can be.
And outside of the result of the match today, I feel like both teams have big takeaways here. The fact that Seongnam ROX was able to show that they're able to beat MIRAEN SEJONG in speed shows how good they are, just overall as a team in both speed, item, and ace. Whereas MIRAEN SEJONG, they proved themselves in item, and they had a redemption in that ace match today with Hojun winning over Looning. It's just a great day for both teams.
Yeah, it did seem like MIRAEN SEJONG was that team who was actually a bit more flexible today in the item mode, which is not something that we've said very often for that squad or any of these players individually, quite frankly. So that's good news on their side. And like you said, meanwhile for Seongnam ROX, a lot of their opponents in the regular season kind of laughed at them and said, well, you guys aren't really a pro team. You just have the banner and the support. But now they've proven themselves to say, no, even in just pure speed races, we can keep up with some of the best.
And it's kind of interesting that Seongnam ROX, they've had to play 2 ace matches already. And given that they've played 2 matches so far in the season, right? So they're having a bit of a shaky time right now, especially in the item. That was where it kind of just bit them in their backs and forced them to play in this ace match.
You know, maybe it wasn't Jung. Maybe it's just Seongnam ROX. Maybe they just love ace matches, right? We used to have Jung, of course, during the preseason on that roster, and he was playing ace match after ace match. But now with a new roster, it's still continuing as a trend here, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. But while it's exciting for us, as you mentioned, Peter, if this is a continued trend, it is a little worrisome because it means you're always just barely crossing that finish line here for Seongnam ROX.
Yep, but of course our next match is going to be a match between NUTMITE and KWANGDONG FREECS, excuse me. So don't go anywhere, we'll be right back soon. field here. So Neil and Jimin, they have to kind of secure the 1-2. It's their only win condition, but this is the tricky part.
And World doing such a good job there with the inner lines. Oh, even colliding right there. Oh, World, watch out. Colliding right there. Oh, World, watch out. Actually,
Neil.
Jimin gets knocked off the track, so Neil's going to be, that's good here for Live Sandbox, but KWANGDONG FREECS is locking down the 2-3-4. That is a win condition here in track number 2 with only 200 meters left to go. Unless Yeonsu can somehow close the distance. No, it's going to be the KWANGDONG FREECS going up. Big item. Oh no, it's another shield. So it's going to come down to Jimin right now. He does have a rocket potentially to attack Seongnam, but the shield pops. 500 meters left to go. Jimin also has a nitrous. Is it going to be enough? Oh, it's Dalda coming back. Oh, he's trying to boost through this. 150 meters left. Seongnam, Angel shield pop. Luckily for him though, World coming in from the outside out of seemingly nowhere, able to clutch it. I thought for sure Dalda was going to be able to pass it at last. Seongnam ROX leading.
Navi and Looning are so far away.
That's all Acid Fist keeps bouncing off one finale player to the next. Even able to pass once again, but he's not trying to speed away. He's not using these nitrous to gain pathing. And oh my, this is the best sweeping that we've seen in a long time. He maintains the lead. Okay, finally there he makes, but that's after a 1v4 that spanned what felt like half a minute, and now it's Bong. And just look at the mini map. Look at the lead that the sweeping was able to deliver for Acid Fly and Bong. That is.
And it is going to be Looning for ROX and Thing for Finale Esports.
Yeah, no surprise
Again, but as long as he stays within the draft range, he can time that perfectly and actually make the ball in his court once again, which is what we're...
Burns and Peter, I think it's probably going to come all the way down to the hairpins.
And keep in mind that Thing's heartbeat got back. He's really focused. He knows that he can still win this. He's going for the draft very soon.
Coming on the hairpin turns, these one might tell the tale, and they're neck and neck coming down this home stretch. 500 meters left to go. Ding's heart rate about to eclipse 170. Looting takes the pass right there. He's in first place. The draft is not going to come through, and he is going to be victorious here and deliver the victory for Team ROX. The Speed Ace. Has a couple meters of a lead as a result of that.
Yeah, and Scarlet, he crashed into the wall there in a pretty crazy fashion, so he's going to fall all the way to 8th off of that.
Globally and within Korea.
Yeah, right now it's a lot of fierce battle happening. World, Neil, and Jimin all trying to be there, but now as we enter the terracotta section, the tomb, it's going to really start building that lead for the person.
Jimin and get the better trade. Looking at the nitrous gauge with only 500 meters left to go. Very even.
Oh my goodness, World!
Yeah, big collision right there. Jimin's going to lose a lot of ground, fall all the way down to the 4th place, and actually it's Hong coming through unscathed after all of that conundrum. All those... First place.
Yeah, but it's definitely scary when you have World up in the front like that, because I feel like World is just going to wait patiently, look for these body blocks that he's been doing so well throughout the...
Multiple walls and falls all the way down to 7th place after a respectable start, and now Jimin coming through the shortcut.
Oh, another one.
Yeah, that was a scary moment there with World, but Jimin seems like he got the better end.
Yeah, and it seems like Hong...
The result of the nitrous gauge not getting depleted as much when you have collisions, right?
Yeah.
And that just leads to a little bit more chaos and a little bit more mistakes when it's a free-for-all, when it's every man for himself. And now it's Jimin, Neil, and World battling for top 3. Oh, Neil styling on it, man. That was a beautiful 360 spin. Will he be able to gain enough nitrous gauge to second W of the night,
my
but
God, Neil
comes through with unbelievable speed. The genius at work. I mean, calm, cool, and collected as always. You look at the player cam after that win, and he's just like, yeah, I knew I had that one. It's no big deal. I do this all the time.
mouth better add your respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is to throw. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone. Throw it off in my brain and I'm back to the bone.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for waiting during that short break. We return with another team match. It is Wednesday team match night here at the Kartrider Drift League. We just had MIRAEN Sejong achieve their first victory against Seongnam ROX, and now it's going to be a bit of a David and Goliath story as we see NUTMITE going up against the KWANGDONG FREECS.
NUTMITE, one of our newer amateur teams here in the KDL season, and they are now taking a walk onto the stage, and I feel like they've had a very successful start to the season so far, already being 1-1 in their set score. And despite their opponent being KWANGDONG FREECS, the most decorated team in the whole KDL, I feel like they do have a pretty good shot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see, NUTMITE. I mean, there are some players here that should have, some experience. I know even, Wave himself was saying, I kind of hope people stop looking at me as a rookie and trying to prove that. I mean, if they can get a win against a team like KWANGDONG FREECS, that'd be one hell of a way to prove that they are here for the fight.
KWANGDONG FREECS is a team that has kept its roster the same ever since preseason 1, and they're the only team to be able to maintain that, and it's no surprise when, given that KWANGDONG FREECS with this roster, they were able to win both preseason 1 and 2, and now here in the regular season, they are 2-0 in their sets, by far the biggest team.
Yeah, I mean, sure, they have some couple tough matches here and there, especially actually against amateur teams. Maybe they're a little too lax. Who knows what the reasoning is? But at the end of the day, KWANGDONG FREECS have always come out on top, and that's what matters, right? Even if the journey's a little rocky, even if you're not able to always have a perfect scoreline, as long as you're winning, that's what matters. And we'll see if NUTMITE, maybe they can take an opportunity here to say, okay, well, we're happy to be one of those attacks, right, during that journey, if we can put a bit of a flaw in your record.
Yeah, and as you take a look at the speed average ranks, this is definitely a team that hasn't been winning through a lot of the 1-2 strategies, whereas KWANGDONG FREECS is a team that really focuses on that, so they have a tough road ahead, and you can see that being reflected by their statement. It's very scary to go against the Freaks. Please handle us with some politeness.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be scary for any amateur team. I mean, to see a roster like KWANGDONG FREECS shut down Live Sandbox repeatedly during the preseason, because Live Sandbox was definitely the more storied, victorious team during the older Kartrider League, and to see this squad of 4 just come out and sweep everything every time in both preseasons throughout 2023, and now continuing that run in the regular season so far, it's going to be a scary matchup. And, they're talking about the ace match addict, that's Seongbin. It's funny, actually, apparently during the interview it was told that it was, I believe, World Cool and Seongbin who all wanted to enter the ace match in their last matchup against Desperado, and Seongbin just happened to raise his hand first, and that's why he was given that opportunity, and hey, he proved himself.
That's exactly what we know this roster for, being a 4-man lineup, all capable of speed, and actually KWANGDONG FREECS being very nice here, saying, you're doing so well, so you guys might want to teach us some little Kartrider drift.
At what point do we decide that this is no longer them being polite, but them just being sarcastic, right? They always seem to take a bit of this humble approach, which is nice to see. I do think they mean it. I think they're always trying to say, hey, like we're not confident just yet. We're not, there to say that we are absolutely the best just yet at the KDL. But of course, the results point in their favor. As we take a look at the track list, KWANGDONG FREECS bringing us to another Construction Chaos start, and it's going to be another Handy Harbor follow-up as well.
Yeah, and it's also interesting to note that NUTMITE, they won the coin flip, but they chose item priority, which is why KWANGDONG FREECS was given this priority in speed. It feels like NUTMITE, they've kind of just let's speed up to whatever happens. You know, they're not really focusing on it, but there are confident tracks were the newly introduced ones here in the official season of Kart Rider Drift. It's Handy Harbor as well as the Miami Drive.
Yeah, you know, I do like the bans coming out from NUTMITE, right? You're banning out some of these other difficult tracks, especially Terracotta Twister. That's a tried and true one for the Kwangdong Freaks. That does leave some of these other ones open, like Construction Chaos. We'll have to see if NUTMITE, they have the confidence to try to throw the Chaos back in Kwangdong Freaks' face as we enter speed mode. A team match between NUTMITE and Kwangdong Freaks takes off as the KDF lead in the blue stripes. All 4 members way at the front, and this is going to let just Spear and Cool both just do a bunch of the sweeping to take control of the midfield.
I love this strategy coming out from Kwangdong Freaks right now. World is so far ahead that it feels like there's no way Kwangdong Freaks is going to allow NUTMITE to ever have a 1-2. All Kwangdong Freaks needs to focus on right now is sweeping and making sure World's lead doesn't stop.
Yeah, and you know, I do love the fact that you no longer lose that boost gauge when you're colliding against the walls, because it's allowing so many more aggressive maneuvers from both teams, right? You now have to defend more aggressively as well around a lot of these corners and risk just kind of scraping that wall to make sure you block the lines. And so far, Kwangdong Freaks, they've been winning out on those trades quite continuously as Wave gets bumped out. Spear having to take the hit himself, because that means Seongnam and World way further ahead now in the 1-2.
That was a huge hit from Spear there, and Wave, despite being able to recover pretty nicely, just as you put it, Will, Kwangdong Freaks so far ahead with this 1-2 right now that Spear can go ahead and block a couple more times here.
Man, look at Spear, the way he positioned himself on the landing. Again, it's about these aggressive moves. He's happy to bump against the wall, which if that means he can block and stop the opponent, because now World and Seongnam, they're nowhere to be seen on the screen.
You can only see them on the minimap, barely. Wave finally getting to see the back of Seongbin slightly, but if you're looking at only the back slightly, that means you can't draft anytime soon. NUTMITE having such a tough start. I almost said horrible, but a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, you know, maybe both, because right now, even if they're able to break up the 1-2, it's looking a little dicey. Now they do have the 3-4-5, so if they can edge into that second place, that gives them a little bit more hope, but it's not going to be enough just yet. They will have to make sure that they overcome at least one more spot. You know, maybe something like the 1-3-5 would have worked for them, but it's not looking possible at all, Peter, as we see Seongbin and World still staying ahead. Not a single draft happening here in the second lap for the front runners. But it will be an easy, clean 1-2 for the Kwangdong Freaks.
Kwangdong Freaks asked NUTMITE before the match began to teach them a little about Kart Rider Drift, and I guess Kwangdong Freaks learned. They learned how to 1-2 from NUTMITE today, because it seemed like there was no way for that 1-2 to be broken.
Yeah, I mean, what a setup. And to me, Spear is the MVP of that track, right? I mean, sure, everyone played impeccably here on the Kwangdong Freaks, but Spear just playing this 1v3 at the end of that first lap, and he blocks out all 3 members a couple times in a row. Shut down all forms of hope here for NUTMITE to try to catch up. And so far, things are kicking off the way a lot of us expected to.
World looking really happy after that victory. He was able to set a new record, and that just shows what these pros of Kart Rider Drift can do when you leave them with zero pressure coming in from the back.
Yeah, I mean, World, he's known for that as well. Now we go over to NUTMITE's choice. Another follow-up on Village Handy Harbor. Can they tie things up 1-1 in speed mode in this team match?
We return again to Village Handy Harbor for Speed Round 2. We've already seen this between Seongnam, ROX, and MIRAEN Sejong, and this was a track where a team always becomes dominant, and it seems so far that NUTMITE actually wants to be that dominant team.
Yeah, so far Scald, he's doing his best to hold on to the lead, but he tries to take a little bit too close of a turn. I think he wanted to go for a block at the same time and position himself for that shortcut. He's going to have to pay for that, but thankfully for NUTMITE, Vega and Will are both near the front. The draft's coming into play, so it's a 2v1 for Spear. Now, Spear's job is just going to be to buy time for Seongbin and World to try to catch up, because if not, Will and Vega, they can try to make a play where they go for the 1-2 near the end.
That is certainly the job for Spear right now. That's changed from sweeping to making sure that he's staying ahead, but NUTMITE falling behind into 6, 7, 8. That makes Will's job impossible.
Yeah, I mean, Vega, it seemed to have been a bit of a mistake there. He falls all the way back. He fell off on the minimap, and we saw that. And sure, Will, he's going to shoot forward, and he's doing what he can to keep the hope alive, but it's a solid 2-3-4 here from KWANGDONG FREECS. And if you're Will, this is starting to feel like a horror game with these 3 blue racers coming up right behind you.
And we see Vega right now actually able to recover and provide some support, but KWANGDONG FREECS instantly answers back, trying to deny that 1-2 at all costs.
Yeah, but NUTMITE's ahead in points right now because Will, he actually had everyone group up right behind him. He was able to put the stops on them, but Will, he gives up first place. Is it still going to be enough points? It is the 2-3-4. Still holding on to the midfield. It wasn't over till the last second, and NUTMITE will answer right back with another track win here, tying things up 1-1.
That was so close near the end there. It was 1 point differential that gave NUTMITE the win. I thought when KWANGDONG FREECS took that first place away from NUTMITE, it might be KWANGDONG FREECS winning, but just as you said, Will, the 2-3-4 from NUTMITE, I love that they were able to recover in positions despite a huge setback.
And here's the thing, KWANGDONG FREECS, we were talking about this in the last cast over the weekend when they had their team match. I mean, their speed modes aren't looking as clean as you'd expect them to against some of these amateur teams. They're dropping a track here and there, so even if they're still able to win out, this is starting to show some of those weaknesses that the other pro teams might be able to take advantage of. But you know, it's still just 1-1. We've said it time and time again. At the end of the day, KWANGDONG FREECS, they've always been able to eke out that W.
Hey, and you also have to keep in mind that NUTMITE, they did pick item priority, so they weren't even planning to really take up so many wins right from the get-go. So this is a pretty phenomenal start for NUTMITE right now. And round 3 and speed is ready. A KWANGDONG FREECS choice of track in Mine Winding Slopes.
And the race begins. Again, this is that track that KWANGDONG FREECS they've always selected, but they've had mixed results all throughout the preseason as well. In fact, this was the track they lost against Desperado in their previous match over the weekend. So NUTMITE trying to see if they can repeat that success because they won on this track when they played against Always.
That is certainly what they want to do, but KWANGDONG FREECS having such a nice control in that 1-2. A repeat of the strategy we've seen in round 1 is going to be a awful start here. Vega!
Oh man, I was just about to say, we've seen a lot of players try to play more aggressively on that jump, on that corner, right off of the jump. And Vega, he realizes he's not going to be able to play too aggressively because he's going to bump against his teammates. He tries to slow down. He's going to fall off the track, and meanwhile, Will and Wave. Oh man, it's going to be Wave who's going to fall all the way behind. Will's still able to recover, doesn't get collided too far back, but now it's a clean 1-2-3-4. And I can't see a world where Will is able to stop all 4 of these players from crossing the finish line, because that's the only answer they got.
The only answer they got, but that answer is not even the answer in this case. As World, he just slows down to do some blocks, and you see the crazy spin turns coming out from NUTMITE, but that's nowhere near enough to close this humongous gap.
Yeah, I mean, listen, credit to Will tried to go for a stop there just to get some form of practice there. Of course, the 1-2 was already given up. But hey, credit to Will. Some good recovery on those spin turns, but again, he was all left alone after that catastrophic crash coming out from Wave, and NUTMITE, they will give up the 1-2-3-4, and as the post suggests for KWANGDONG FREECS, they say, nah, it's still going to be over for you guys here in the speed mode.
A trend I'm noticing is if KWANGDONG FREECS starts with that 1-2 for any time longer than the first 10 seconds, it feels like the matches are going to end in favor of KWANGDONG FREECS. So NUTMITE, they need to find a way to gather an early advantage.
Yeah, I mean, that good start is going to matter a lot. We'll have to wait and see if they can make something happen on their own picks. Let's note that, their picks are these tracks that, while Handy Harbor is not a wide track, obviously there's a lot of these opportunities because it's just continuous hairpins. So, now moving on to round 4, the selection from NUTMITE. As you mentioned before, Peter, we're going to World Tour Miami Drive, a bit of a field track here. If they can make sure they get the lead and then continue to keep that boost going forward, this is a chance where they can try to make sure to tie things up in speed mode against the king so far of KWANGDONG FREECS. Round 4, ladies and gentlemen, we go to World Tour Miami Drive.
Speed round 4 is going to be match point for Kwangdong Freecks. NUTMITE, they need to win 2 more tracks here in speed to get that set win, but the task is going to be a rough one. NUTMITE does, however, have a pretty good position in the midfield.
Wow, so a lot of the players have been avoiding that second boost on the straightaway to make sure they can keep their force. This time, World actually takes it and it forces Skull to try to play aggressively, pushes him far behind into 7th place. So a bit of that aggressive play, but you called it, Peter. I mean, this time NUTMITE, they're trying to keep the lead. They're trying to stay ahead. They had a good start. 3 members up front. But again, I mean, so many opportunities for players of both teams to try to catch up. And we'll have to wait and see if Kwangdong Freecks, if they're just biding their time for that second lap.
A beautiful line from Spear allowed him to catch up to the main force of NUTMITE so far. But once again, it's a 1-3-4 right now in the hands of NUTMITE. If Vega and Scald can stay ahead of Cool, that would be important, but keep in mind that Cool is also starting to recover.
Yeah, I mean, Scald seems to be kind of out of the race. Of course, we can't count anyone out too early, but hard to see him on the minimap as well. We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Wave, he's probably thinking, okay, the opportunity right now is for that 1-2-0, and Spear, trying to make sure he doesn't lose entire control, is going to have to give up a massive lead. Vega, if he can just play some good sweeps here, he's trying against Spear, but Sungbin has now made it ahead. Spear now close behind him as well. Vega just has to apply pressure. He does not have to completely knock them out of the race because Will and Wave are so far ahead out of draft range.
He allowed Spear to pass by, but it doesn't matter. Vega just needs to focus now on blocking at least Cool because NUTMITE has such a humongous advantage in this 1-2. Will and Wave just needs the room.
Now it's just Will and Wave, though. It's now all up to their own speed and their maneuvers. No mistakes allowed as Spear is now caught up into almost draft range, but the boost, it's going to keep Will and Wave just far ahead, and it should be enough as we enter the last 300 meters. No mistakes made by the NUTMITE duo, and it's going to be a 1-2 finish. Ladies and gentlemen, we go to a round 5 in NUTMITE versus Kwangdong Freecks speed mode.
A result that we couldn't have expected coming into today. NUTMITE is able to show us why this team was referred to as a NM win type of team. It basically meant if you have a game with NUTMITE, they're always going to go to that match 5, and to repeat that here against the defending champion in Kwangdong Freecks, you have to give it to this team.
Yeah, I mean, really well played. And again, I just love the fact that, you know, they didn't come in giving up, right? They're still giving it their all. They still went for these track selections that they felt confident in, and that brings them all the way to round 5. If they're able to win speed mode, I mean, we might even see them have a good shot at shutting down Kwangdong Freecks, you know, in the item mode and make sure an ace match does not happen.
An ace match is definitely a devastating place to be if you're an amateur team, because that's where amateur teams have traditionally struggled in, whereas item mode was where amateur teams shined, like you said, Will. So they just need now one more win if you're a NUTMITE fan to be able to have such a bright future ahead. But Village Boom Hill Tunnel is here for our round 5 in speed.
And the race begins. NUTMITE, can they overthrow the Kwangdong Freecks in this team match during the regular season? Spear trying to get ahead, but NUTMITE, they've learned their lesson. They're not allowing Kwangdong Freecks to have a monopoly on the lead from the get-go. A single lap here on Boom Hill Tunnel.
But the lines from Spear and Cole look absolutely unstoppable right now as they recover a 1-2 and a huge block. Almost send NUTMITE packing, but they're able to recover very nicely.
Yeah, but I love the way that NUTMITE maneuvered this. Wave took that outside line coming out of the tunnel, and that allowed them to attack from 2 different angles, so it forced Cool to have to play very aggressively on that stop. And while he gets a little bit of an attack, too much momentum coming in from NUTMITE allows them to continue push forward. The boost still in store, and now Spear just trying to hold on to first place, making sure that Sungbin has a chance to keep the point lead, because if they finish the way they are right now, they should be able to be well ahead.
Kwangdong Freecks having such a good control right now over the midfield. Will found an excellent block there, but it's not going to be enough just yet. Vega, he really needs to stay ahead of Sungbin.
Oh, Wave tries to overtake Sungbin on that jump. He's trying
Vega!
No! Meanwhile, Vega doesn't make the second jump. Sungbin with a nice block as well. And despite the aggressive maneuvers coming in from NUTMITE, it will not pay off, perhaps to their own demise, as Kwangdong Freecks, they will regain control and win 3-2 in speed mode, bringing them a set score of 1-0.
That was certainly a rocky battle of speed, trading hands constantly in the advantage. It felt like whoever got their track choice pretty much won in that track. And for Kwangdong Freecks, fortunately, they had 3 choices here in speed, and they're able to round it out in 3-2 format for this speed mode.
Man, I mean, that's rough because, you know, NUTMITE, they had a chance to recover off of the stop coming in from Cool as well, but eventually the pressure coming in from the remaining Kwangdong Freecks players catching up got to him, right? None of the NUTMITE players going for that jump on the bridge as well, the rail jump, and they were just trying to overtake him. Actually, Wave made it, which allowed him to try to catch up to the midfield, but they let go of the lead too early, and eventually a couple more aggressive plays from Wave and Vega, neither of them paying off. Kwangdong Freecks will be able to finish 3-2. Now, if you're a Kwangdong Freecks or a Kwangdong Freecks fan, I can't imagine that that's the scoreline you wanted, but again, the story of KDF is if you get the win at the end of the day, that's what matters. Get into the playoffs, get there in first place, eventually lift that very first trophy of the KDL.
And after that showing, of course, we're now moving on into the item mode. We're going to see the swaps coming in for Team NUTMITE, whereas Kwangdong Freecks, just like MIRAEN and Sejong earlier today, they won't be having any swaps. They don't have a dedicated item ace.
Yeah, see if that continues to work out for them. We take a look at the track list. We'll be kicking things off with World Tour London Night from NUTMITE, a track where you can still have these timing attacks towards the end of that third lap. Then we go to Mushroom Caves, Misty Falls, Magma Cavern, and if we go to round 5, we will be going on to World Tour San Francisco Seaplane Base.
And the bans coming out from both teams on the graveyard tracks is going to be an interesting one, because we've seen teams really not really shy away from that thematic of a track, but both teams not very comfortable in there.
Yeah, and just, you know, cheering for the item ace on the side of NUTMITE here. Of course, his ID is Snoopy. We'll see. Now, I do want to say NUTMITE, I mean, even just a 3-2, you know, losing 2-3 in set score, that might be what pushes them over the edge towards that postseason, right, for that wild card match, because we will go down into set and round differential. We'll have to wait and see until the end of the season, but for now, we go into item mode on World Tour London Night.
We begin our item round here on a 2-star difficulty track. A London Night is a classic that we've seen so many times in professional kart rider item play, and this track is all about building up items for that third lap.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, more of that timing rather than the tempo play. Just the way that the track is set up, of course, at the end, you have a couple boosts that you can take for the big shortcut, jump over the Ferris wheel, things like that. So you still have a lot more opportunities, even if you let the lead get ahead. Now, with the, again, higher upgrades on the kart bodies, if you give too much of a lead, sure, any track will turn into a timing and tempo, or a tempo track, rather. Yep. But this is one of those where you're still susceptible to that timing attack.
In fact, we're seeing Wave and World being pretty dominant in their positions here, as we see Will catching up to shoot off a Water Wisp to offer more tempo for Wave. He's holding on to 2 shields right now, and you have to wonder, with all the magnets on the side of Kwangdong Freecks, the comms must be pretty calm right now. They're not worried about anything.
Yeah, and the thing is you see a couple EMPs in store from NUTMITE. Okay, I was going to say, I wonder if they use one of them. They did. Will pick up a second one. He uses it right away. So they're going to keep one in store for a potential magnet play near the end. They're very aware that that is one of the strong win conditions here on London Night. But curious to see if that's going to get drawn out. It does get cycled out immediately by Will, trying to go for a Guardian Angel. He'll get what he wanted.
You see a bunch of Water Wisps being traded pretty aggressively here as a missile's going to come out. It didn't do much. However, in the overall fields, if you take a look, there's so many magnets right now that an EMP wave has to be high up in the value.
Yeah, but Scald, meanwhile, just straight double boost. He's trying to go for a play where he can just cross the finish line on his own, right? Not have to rely on other people's placements, not have to worry about that. Just trying to make sure, oh, but he does bump against the corner. Not going to be opportune. He's going to have to use one right now just to catch up. The Guardian Angel coming in. Meanwhile, Wave way up front. He eats the UFO, slows him down too much, and Seongnam is going to cross the finish line. Oh man, I gotta imagine if Scald hadn't bumped against the corner, that was 2 members that could have tried to shoot far forward in the rankings. One of them takes the UFO. I imagine that's the strategy that NUTMITE had. But Kwangdong Freecks, they will be able to cross the finish line peacefully and lead 1-0 in item mode.
Certainly a heartbreaking way to end off that round 1 for NUTMITE. Just as you put it, Will, Scald was really trying to put some emphasis on utilizing the double nitrous to make sure he has a tempo near the end where he's going faster than anyone else. But if you hit that wall and you start off the race in that 5th position, it's really hard to get back up in 1st.
Yeah, I mean, he had to use it immediately just to recover speed right around that corner. If not, he would have been able to find kind of a tempo where he can use one right off the jump, and then immediately as he lands, he's able to turn that corner with a nice drift. But alas, it is going to be Kwangdong Freecks' victory. Now, if you're a NUTMITE fan, this is how speed mode kicked off. We'll have to wait and see if they trade tracks here as we get ready for round 2 of item mode. This is going to be Kwangdong Freecks' choice of Forest Mushroom Caves. Another 2-star track leading us here in item mode between these two teams. So no new items, but it is going to be very much a tempo play here on Mushroom Caves.
That is certainly how this track plays out, as we see World sitting up in top right now, but 2 players from each team really contesting, so we don't have a clear lead yet.
Yeah, just a 2-lapper. Sure, that means each lap is going to be a bit longer, but again, that's where that tempo play comes in. And you see it just now, a lot of narrow paths here on Mushroom Cave, so the water balloons can have some good impact in the middle of the track, but if you get to the end, there's only that one singular bridge waiting for you, so outside of that, you might miss some of those timings for a good AoE attack.
However, we're seeing Cool taking a pretty nice lead there. He was able to dodge out of that water bomb just slightly with a nicely timed shield, and you have to wonder, Cool, he's holding onto EMP. If he picks up a shield as well, it would have been troublesome, so this nice time Water Wisp is going to give more space for NUTMITE to catch up.
Yeah, I mean, just to catch up, just to make sure the tempo doesn't go entirely into a monopoly for Kwangdong Freecks. So I like that play. The water bomb not going to hit the front runners, but they will both spin out. Actually gives an opportunity for Wave to try to continue to contest. Snoopy now up front, but Seongnam, he's got a boost and a shield. He's sitting pretty healthy right now. A nice water bomb as well. And Skull, he tried to catch up with the Magnet, but it's around the curve. So, nice water bomb. Finally gives the opportunity. Continued success with water bombs from both teams.
And we're seeing a huge utilization of that item so far. We see Snoopy sitting up along with World. They both have an EMP apiece, but World does have a shield, so he's able to dodge that water bomb.
Yeah, but that means that the shield now being picked up by Snoopy is able to dodge the Wisp coming out from World. No further shields now. The Guardian Angel here for NUTMITE. Will shooting ahead as well. He's got another boost and another Guardian Angel. Unless you have a Magnet, it's not going to happen. And meanwhile, trying to navigate themselves around these trees, nothing comes to fruition for the Kwangdong Freecks, as will be able to boost forward across the finish line, tying things 1-1.
Both Spear and World hit that tree there, and both were the players really trying to contest the spot for Kwangdong Freecks. So after that, there was really no response from the Freaks to catch up, and near the end, it became a rather easy one-sided victory.
Yes, I mean, NUTMITE, they seem to really have that comfort towards the later half of the second lap. You could just tell the way they were racing, they looked at their own items and said, we're pretty much prepared for anything, unless it's like double, triple Magnet into a UFO. You know, we still had one more EMP in store as well. We saw Will use that, or his teammate use it for him so that the Magnet gets deactivated immediately at the last part of the track. They still had a boost. They still had another Guardian Angel. And so, you know, the items line up for them too, but also making sure they had 2, 3 players towards the front to make sure if one of them takes the attacks, they're able to cross first. So now, tied 1-1. Can NUTMITE try to get the lead for the first time here in this team match as we go to Forest Misty Falls?
We have another 2-star difficulty item mode track to kick off our item round 3, and it is going to be our final 2-star item difficulty track between these two teams, as we see World and Seongnam having a pretty nice lead to start off.
Yeah, we'll see if they're able to keep that as Scald. He's not going to be able to get his landing over that shortcut here. NUTMITE, I mean, some of them were getting denied items as well, so they had to slow down to make sure they picked up items. So a lot of that tempo lost for the time being. Double shield still in store for Seongnam. Wave, you might have to use that lightning bolt, right, just to regain some tempo. Of course, it is a 3-lapper, so you have a bit more opportunity. But if things start to get really scary and there's no other support from your teammates, you might use it just to cycle through these items on the side of NUTMITE, or on the side of KWANGDONG FREECS.
Yeah, and you can see Wave, he's really holding on to that lightning for a while. He's trying to test the waters to make sure that he gets the best timing, and now finally he decides that KWANGDONG FREECS is way too far ahead and pops the lightning, but that doesn't offer enough. You can see in the minimap, World is so far ahead right now.
Yeah, the Guardian Angel was there, and another one was picked up by Pool, so they still have another answer to some of these attacks. EMP coming out from World as well, as he continues to keep the lead. He's not even in range for some of these water bombs, Peter, and we're nearing the end of lap 2 out of 3. No signs to stop the KWANGDONG FREECS as another Wisp and water bomb against Will. NUTMITE, they're just not able to get in range.
World seems to have everything in his favor right now, but fortunately that was the second lap for NUTMITE. So this is the last lap where NUTMITE has a chance to catch up. The lightning's going to get popped, and KWANGDONG FREECS, they don't have an Angel in response. This is that gap they needed.
Yeah, finally they're in range to land some attacks, and World without a shield. He's just trying to stay ahead. Will has caught up. He's in draft range as well. He's got another water bomb. So does Wave. We'll see if Wave can get into a position. No, another spin out from Will. World and Will both with items. A shield comes out. This might be enough just to edge World across the finish line. Scald has a magnet. Is it enough to catch up though? It only lands on Spear, not on World. Nothing to stop him. He actually breaks away from the water bomb.
Yeah, World is having such a phenomenal lead right now that Scald, without any items, cannot catch up. Snoopy throws the water bomb, but it doesn't hit even Spear. And World, with a 6 sidestep on that barricade, finishes the race off for KWANGDONG FREECS.
Man, World not letting that lead go over to NUTMITE a single time. I mean, I think he held on to it from the beginning of lap 2 pretty much, and he was able to hold it all the way through the end. And you know, we did see NUTMITE, they didn't get too greedy. They were starting to use items just to say, okay, we got to catch up. And that's how they had an opportunity there to try to overtake World, but they just did not have enough items. They had to choose either between keeping aggressive items or defensive items. And at the end of the day, if they attacked, they would get attacked in return from behind. And they were still just one step behind World.
And this is really scary for NUTMITE right now, because even the task of having to do an ace match against KWANGDONG FREECS would have been scary enough, but now KWANGDONG FREECS only one track of item away from finishing the set 2-0 today.
Yeah, NUTMITE, they held the highest average attack rate so far in attacking items in item mode, and they were second in defense so far, but in this match against KWANGDONG FREECS, they're trading blow for blow. Can NUTMITE recover as we go to round 4 on Mine Magma Cavern? The race begins. KWANGDONG FREECS looking to make this match point and secure this team match victory to keep a 3-0 record. Meanwhile, NUTMITE just trying to stay alive in this team match.
You can see the scanners now entering the field. World is going to cycle through that early on as we see some huge water bombs to shift the momentum away. However, KWANGDONG FREECS, they do seem to have a pretty sizable lead.
Yeah, so far looking good for the KWANGDONG FREECS. But as you mentioned before, Peter, this is now a 3-star track. We're only looking at 3-star tracks here for round 4 and 5. And that means with these narrow pathways, it's not just water bombs anymore, but those sirens that can come into play for both teams.
Zach Scald is going to pick one up right now. He uses it for the tempo, and he's now going to be healthily in second place, holding on to a lightning. If they know KWANGDONG FREECS don't have an angel right now, it could be a good moment to pop it.
Oh, but Spear just popped the scanner, and they're very well of that lightning bolt being held onto by Scald, so World is going to hold on to dear life with those double shields. I can't imagine he uses it for much else. He's constantly cycling shield for shield. A Guardian Angel as well to block off all the attacks. Scald, he's just not finding an opportunity. Finally, the lightning bolt, but it's going to get shielded off.
Yeah, I mean, World is so well protected until he got hit by 5 different attacks in a row, and finally he's going to get slowed down. However, Snoopy, he's not able to catch up just yet.
All right, but now the chain attacks continue. I mean, these staggered attacks, that's what it took to just get in range of World. So the tempo no longer in favor of World. Now Snoopy trading blow for blow, rocket for shield, but now it's just going to be an absolute pit fight between NUTMITE and KWANGDONG FREECS.
World has been such an MVP for KWANGDONG FREECS, and item mode constantly taking the lead, but this time he does fall behind.
Will not able to recover from that spin out. He was hoping if he just decreases speed, he could recover. Meanwhile, a Siren now coming up, but Cool just going to boost away from it. He doesn't get hit. In fact, we're going to see Will actually spin out and Scald. Now the only member, all 4 members of NUTMITE get caught in that water bomb as we see Spear getting way ahead of the entire race to finish off this team match in favor of KWANGDONG FREECS.
Sungbin's water bomb there was so huge. NUTMITE in the most crucial moment when they were focusing on nothing but catching up. Sungbin throws a bomb that catches 3 members of NUTMITE off guard, and that is what it took for KWANGDONG FREECS to win that round 4 in item, winning the day today 2-0 in sets.
You know, this is what I was hoping to see over the weekend. I mean, with these higher gears, this should favor KWANGDONG FREECS in a way where you can make a lot of these tempo plays, get ahead, play defensively, make sure the people behind are just throwing out attacks to make sure that, you know, the opponents can't catch up. A little bit of shout out to their sponsors here from KWANGDONG FREECS. That is one of the products coming out from KWANGDONG. So it's cool that they're now giving shout outs as we enter the regular season. I mean, this is what you want to see as a sponsor and an organization, but I gotta say, KWANGDONG FREECS, it seems they learned from their mistakes over the weekend, and they show a successful item mode showing against NUTMITE.
Especially after a defeat in item mode against Desperado, you might have thought that NUTMITE had a chance here, given they picked item priority as well, but KWANGDONG FREECS was just so dominating today in both speed and item, taking them 3-2 and 3-1.
Yeah, so because NUTMITE was so close, it may feel like, oh, that's a shame. But at the same time, you gotta imagine if you're NUTMITE, this is one of those opponents you just had to assume we're probably losing. But the question is, how much can we gain from that loss? And they gained 3 track wins, which means that they should now have a bit of an edge against some of these other amateur teams that are trying to get into the top 5 for that wildcard match in terms of round and set differentials.
Yeah, because NUTMITE really showed that as long as they don't fall behind too much in the early portion of the track, they're able to maintain 1-2 against a professional team like KWANGDONG FREECS. And if they can pull it off against the Freaks, they can pull it off against any other team in KDL. So I love seeing how NUTMITE improved so much in speed today. And item mode has usually just been where they feel comfortable despite having a bad outcome today.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how these set differentials and round differentials might play out in the future. I mean, you know, on the other side, KWANGDONG FREECS, we used to say, I mean, if they keep dropping a lot of these tracks, maybe that bites them and they once again are not able to get first place during the round robin stage. However, with Seongnam ROX losing earlier today against MIRAEN SEJONG, KWANGDONG FREECS continue to shoot far ahead with a 3-0 record in team matches so far.
And it's a wonder how KWANGDONG FREECS is constantly able to pull it off, because if KWANGDONG FREECS was winning all of their matches with a 2-0 in sets, maybe like 3-1 maximum for the round scores, then you would have been like, okay, KWANGDONG FREECS is the best team we got. But they keep having such a shaky journey, but it just works out always in the end.
Yeah, it was the same during the preseason, right? They weren't the team that had a perfect record during run of the round robins. It was actually a loose sandbox. But at the end of the day, who was winning that first place? It was the KWANGDONG FREECS, as everyone prepared for the regular season of the KDL. So they continue their reign. We'll see if they will, in fact, be the very first winners of the KDL. But of course, Peter, we're not done just yet. It is Wednesday, which means we have more team matches coming up.
Yeah, I mean, we've already had so many exciting matchups, and I'm really looking forward to this final one here. It's going to be a crucial match for FNL Esports going up against Desperado. FNL Esports, they're 0-2 in the standings right now. They need to pick up some set wins.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be very important. Not just set wins, probably a match win for them, right? Just to be in contention to get into that top 5. So, ladies and gentlemen, another matchup this time between 2 amateur teams, Desperado and FNL Esports, who will come out victorious here tonight for the KDL. We find out right after this break.
it, I'm ready to do it, I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now, I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. I'm ready to do this, show you what the truth is. I step on the field, it's time to get real, I'm feeling so ruthless. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Yeah, so what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made of. Get in the game, your moment of fame, show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up, it's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
정확하게 본인이 노린 데서 저격하겠다는 얘기입니다. 바로 리브 샌드박스입니다. 네, 무적함대 리브 샌드박스. 아무래도 병수의 머리 색깔이나 헤어스타일.
병수 머리 어쩌고저쩌고 하는데?
병수 머리 잘생겼대.
아 병수 머리 보고 뭐라 하는데?
병수 머리 파인애플이라는데?
반가워. 머리는 게임에서 원래 안 보였어 앞에 오늘 그.
아 병수 머리 어떻게 좀 해봐.
나 마이크 커?
아니 괜찮아.
나 지금 어때? 나 괜찮아.
딱 괜찮아.
오케이.
방금 뭐야 국바람.
나일 거야. 난 안 들렸거든.
오케이.
게임 할 때도 들릴 수도 있어.
근데 게임 할 땐 별로 신경 안 쓰겠다.
오케이. 나 신경 쓰면 말해. 그 판은 참아야 돼 근데.
ASMR 들으면서 하기.
오케이. 더 잘 될 수도 있어.
이제 정규 시즌에선 영웅 등급 카트 바디의 등장과 함께 부스터가 수평 바디 4대로 선수들이 팀을 꾸리게 되죠.
나 빨리 나.
나이스 내절한다.
나 빠졌어 왼쪽.
레이스 내생 하나?
3개 계속 던져.
나 2개.
1발 잡아놨어.
할게. 2까지 잡았어.
1발 잡아놨다.
빨고 와.
나 직진.
나 빨고 와.
잡았어.
가자.
나이스. 근데 성민이 거 들린다.
콧바람?
살짝 들린다.
내가 좀 거친 남자야.
그니까.
양 팀의 4번째 라운드에 기다리고 있습니다. 광동의 선택. 사막 빙글빙글 공세됩니다.
다음에 뭐지? 사빙고? 사빙고. 너 찐집이야 찐집. 좋아. 이런 건 진짜 좋아.
나도
찐집이야.
충돌이 많았음에도 불구하고 부스터가 역시 유지가 되죠.
이거 거리 안 되지?
여기만 살자. 안 돼.
죽여놨어 한 명.
나이스. 나 살았어.
신발 잡아놨어.
앞에 이리 뒤.
날렸다. 일단 2대1이에요.
나 5간 한번 줄 수도. 되나요?
안 보였어. 죽였어. 나 오른만 이길게.
지금 여기 박자마.
과감하게 할게.
강하게
죽였어.
델사미 없다.
선수형 셀카드. 일셈 짧아. 멀어. 걔 하나야.
파이팅.
끝까지. 저 꼬였거든. 자, 1-3 해야 돼. 1-3 해야 돼.
어떻게
1-3 해야 돼.
깜짝이야.
나이스.
깜짝이야. 와,
일승 잘 먹었어?
나이스. 1셈이랑 부딪혔어. 공중에서.
어떤 팀이 좀 더 빠르게 백업을 형성할 수 있을지가 중요해졌습니다.
이게 문제 떴게. 첫판에 내릴게.
일단은 빨아먹고.
맞지 마. 여기 먼저.
3파 줬다.
그래서 크면 들렸어 와봐.
나이스.
일단 손이 타줘야 돼 이거.
한수 3대까지.
나도 떨어지긴 했거든.
뒤에 올 수 있어?
왔어.
뒤에 템면 나가
칠게.
자,
계속 간다?
경빈이 어떻게 갈지 봐야 됩니다.
천사의 눈을.
어떤 판단?
천.
야 이겼어.
나이스.
막았어.
나이스.
FNL e스포츠와 바로 이 성남 락스 서로 간에 정말 잘 알고 있는 이 두 팀의 승부이기 때문에 더더욱더 좀 궁금해지는 그런 상황이 되겠는데
승민이.
손대표라 조용아. 차갑다.
앞에 줄게. 주영이 좀 대표할 것 같아.
손 차가면 게임 안 된다고.
마지막에 순위골만 제대로 해보자.
오케이. 순위 몇 등까지 되는지 바로 말해줘.
몇 가지 하고.
사고 나면.
이제 남은 라운드에서는 또 어떤 플레이를 보여줄지 루딩 프리시즌 개인적 우승자답게 사실 보여줘야 돼요.
먼저 가. 실패 좀 많이 벌어.
가봐. 할게. 먼저 할게.
하나 말고 가.
한번 입고 들어가. 야, 할게. 나
뒤에 있어.
먼저 먹었을까? 쭈삐 조심해.
직보 가.
하나 죽였어.
살짝 불편했어.
먼저 볼게. 쭈삐를 더 빨릴 것
나
같아.
일단 7등이야.
쭈삐는 안전하게.
미들 작업이야, 미들 작업.
하면 더 빨릴 거야 아마. 근데 잡히긴 잡아놨어.
1-3 해줘야 돼.
일단 해볼게. 1등이야. 3등이야.
6등 해야 돼. 1등 해야 돼.
2등이야.
나이스야.
나이스야.
까비. 잘했어.
야 죽어버렸다.
홍성민 봐라.
홍성민 봐라.
1등 해주잖아. 얘들아 나 잘했는데.
승민이 형 봐라.
1고 잘했어.
나 출 빠르다. 나이스. 나 불돌반 좋아. 한 명 꼽았어. 가봐.
가가.
나 달릴게 그냥.
이 트랙 같은 경우는 이렇게 포지션 나오면
넘어갔어. 죽겠어. 승현이야 천천히 달려. 편하게 가 편하게.
애결 경험이 많은 또 SD 플레이잖아요. 이거는 감속 엄청 걸 수 있죠.
막았어 또. 이렇게 안 풀려.
야하.
야 미쳤는데?
한승민 뭔데? 아, 조금 써봐라 그냥.
이게 나야. 또 막고 있어.
한승민 뭐야?
세계의 심장이야.
아, 오늘 FMP다 형이.
하이라이트 나온다 이거.
한 번 더 막아버려.
이거 하이라이트 나온다 형.
풀어버려. 차버려.
한승민 뭐야?
원투는 보이지 않을 만큼 멀리 가 있습니다. 이렇게 들어옵니다. 바로 성남 락스.
한승민 뭔데?
이게 나야.
형 지린다.
승민이 형 미쳤어 그냥.
나이스야.
승민이 형 지린다.
야 너 못했다.
까비.
템 이겨줄게.
잘했어요 이제.
우준이 형 고생했어.
얘들아 하나 알려줄까? 상대 내가 하면 게임하는 거 봤거든? 김주영 심박수 190이야. 진짜 돌아가요.
진짜요?
진짜 이빠이했어 쟤.
나도 겁나 뛰지 않았어?
아니 너보다 쟤가 더 높아.
진짜?
너는 150, 160인데.
나 몇이야?
너 생각보다 안 높던데? 그래? 김주영 190에 저기 나비 최승현 170막이래.
진짜?
저기 긴장했어.
오케이.
지원아.
네?
스피드 싹 있고 오늘 잘했으니까 아이템 알지?
네.
떨어지면 그때부터는 한참을 돌아가야 되는 트랙이기 때문에 정확한 타이밍에 상대방 러너를 솎아내는 게 중요한 트랙이에요.
루닝이 한번 속아내고 가네요.
꼴찌 템 먹고 왔어.
오주 쏠게.
4파 하나?
오주 안 맞아. 일단 한번 걸게 이름. 이름 걸었다.
우주 썰게.
해지 당했어.
쏴봐.
쏴봐.
1미 쏠게.
나 파리.
우주 맞아.
나 꼴찌 앞으로 쏴줄게.
파리.
일단 물좀
빨렸어.
물 맞았어. 물집기 앞에.
가.
나 맞아.
사이 탔어. 1미 쏘고.
낙찰 파리.
하나 파리. 밀어줄게.
나 올라갔다.
번개 1미까지.
번개
뛰어가자. 다리
일미
깔게.
쏠게.
깔아.
알았어. 머리
진짜
실게.
이제 맞아 얘들아.
번개 하나 해보자.
아니야 기다려봐. 내가 보내줄게. 번개 나비 기다려.
알았어. 번개.
번개
했어.
봐.
하나 더.
상천.
하나 더.
됐어. 빨리 면.
그냥 가 그냥 가.
빨리.
나이스.
어땠어?
좋아요.
나이스야. 얘 오도 어땠어?
지렸어요.
나만 믿으라고.
상대 천 하나였다?
하나였어.
경계로 이기는 맛이 이 맛이구나.
그러니까.
이마이지.
꽤 챙겨야 되네.
오케이 이마이야.
천 뭐 해보는 거지? 번개를 맞았는 게
번개.
쌍번이야 그럼? 어쩔 수 없다.
스가 험하게 패배하는 장면들이 좀 나왔거든요.
나 좀 멀어졌어
자, 1파 줬어.
하나 잰다.
1미 쏠.
앞에 사이드.
들었어요.
여기 사이드.
일단 맞아.
꼴찌 물 조심해.
이제 빠진다. 거리 한 번만 뒤. 나한테 왔어.
괜찮아.
3파
우주 있는데.
우주부터
자, 했어.
하나씩.
우주 내가 했어.
하나 더 할게.
우주 맞아.
맞아줄게 3파.
괜찮아.
지원아 1등
줄게.
걸어볼래?
일단
거리 한 번만.
지원할게. 1타. 1미. 1등 걸게. 1미 돌아.
걸었어.
끝까지.
안 깔게 이거.
빨리 봐. 미사일.
쏘지마.
이겼냐?
나이스. 나이스. 잘했다.
아 이거 아깝네. 이긴 줄 알았어.
근데 짤 수밖에 없었던 게 성민이가 짜보여가지고 속도 좀이라도 붙여야
아비네. 아 이걸 애교를 가네.
성민아 이걸 할 거야 너가? 성민이가 그랬어?
너 개인전 최강자다. 이겨줄게.
그리고 앞쪽 선점했으니까 일단 점프대 부분까지는 안전하게 가다가 두 번째 랩 접어 들고 나서 그때부터 싸우자라는 생각이겠죠. 정확하게 본인이 노린 데서 저격하겠다는 얘기입니다. 착지들이 까나요? 예, 가면서 여기서 안쪽으로 가나요? 그렇게 들어옵니다. 자, 지금 보시는 것처럼 안경은 그 알이 없어요. 네.
How come you rich if you come to my check? If my name in your mouth, better add the respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is to throw. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone. Throw it off of my brain and I'm bad to the bone.
KDL Week 2 continues as we await our last match of the night. Another team match waiting for us, and this time it's going to be two amateur teams. It will be Desperado going up against Finale Esports.
Desperado, I feel like, has such a good entry lineup, given that it's an amateur team. They have Banana, which is a player we're all very familiar with, a very proficient ace, or not ace, but rather an item ace. And then Ghost, who is that ace match player who has shown us his potential in preseason 2, and now here in the official season. He played against Seongnam and he lost the ace match, but he still had a really good showing.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that, again, with Ghost there, I mean, even if they get to ace matches, they still should always have a chance to get that victory. And so far, their records are 1-1, right? They did get that victory against NUTMITE, eventually fell to KWANGDONG FREECS. Let's see if they can recover another win. Meanwhile, on the other side, Finale Esports, another team with, some very recognizable players, but they haven't been able to get that W on the board just yet.
And it's really surprising when you take a look at the fact that essentially this Finale Esports lineup was the previous ROX from preseason 2. The only difference is Hong entering the lineup, and they were able to be the first place to finish off in the regular season, right? That's where they ended in the standings. But now to come into the regular season and be dead last, it must be a pretty disappointing start for them.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, this is kind of the remains of the old ROX roster now regrouped under the Finale Esports banner, and that same success not returning just yet. You know, personally, I would say, you know, at the helm of it, you've got players like Ding and Dutzy who are known to be some good 1-2 combo players. We'll see if they can make that happen again today. And this time, they're talking about banana. So there's actually a deeper play on words in Korean here, but if you say banana in a sentence, you can kind of make it sound like, oh, have you fallen for me, right? Have you fallen for my charm? So just giving a little shout out to the spotlight of Banana, who is also the captain for this team of Desperado.
Yeah, I actually didn't catch that one, so good read there on the pun, Will. And Desperado, they're saying that they will win and head to the postseason. And honestly, that might happen. If you take a look at the results of the regular season so far, Finale, they could actually drop this game today.
Yeah, I mean, Finale, if they don't win today, I gotta imagine their hopes to even enter the wildcard match are kind of out the window. Yeah, I mean, you can see it, crisis-ridden FNL. Can they break that losing streak? They have to, absolutely. I mean, sure, we might have some really off-chance scenarios where you can get some round differentials, things like that, but you don't want to have to wait for that, right? You want to make sure you secure your own destiny into the top 5. I mean, top 3 already seems a little far-fetched for this team, but hopefully they can get there, and hey, they need to. I mean, a lot of frustration built up here for the squad of Finale Esports.
Definitely, they don't want to lose against Desperado. I feel like this is still one of their easier opponents. In fact, they've played against 2 professional teams so far. It was Seongnam ROX and Live Sandbox they've lost to. So now, against the amateur teams, they need to at least prove that they are one of, if not the best amateur team here.
Yeah, let's take a look at the track so far. Finale Esports, they won the coin toss, so they bring out speed priority. And look at this. Tonight, it's all about the Construction Chaos Handy Harbor start as we see the 1-2 round once again as Finale picked up Construction Chaos. Starting at round 3, we go to Boom Hill Tunnel, Terracotta Twister, and then Winding Slopes. Actually, if we get there, it will be the first time, or the second time we're taking a look at Terracotta Twister tonight.
Yeah, we were looking at the tracks earlier, and you were kind of like, huh, is there a bug? Like,
yeah.
Is it a copy and paste? Because every single team today for round 1 and 2, they wanted that Construction Chaos and Andy Harbor. So I love to see that these tracks are becoming a very popular choice here in the regular season.
Yeah, okay, we have a student in the crowd. Finished their exams safely today, and they were here now in time to cheer on for Desperado. Let's see if it works as we go to Finale's track of choice. It's Desert Construction Chaos. And speed mode kicks off between Desperado and Finale Esports. We've got Desperado in red and Finale Esports in blue.
And the matchup is looking to be pretty even in the standings so far. No team getting a huge lead on the 1-2 like we've seen many of the professional teams do so far.
Yeah, now Woojin finally catching up to Ding to try to provide some support for Finale Esports. I mean, Ding was one of those players that when he was on ROX during preseason 2, the entire team kind of just set him up to get in first place, hold on to first place. You know, and now and then Dutzy would also be one of those players that had that moment during the preseason. So it's good to see that both of these players, when they're given the opportunity, they will continue to stay in the lead, and a nice sweep out from Dutzy.
Yeah, in the beginning, it felt like it was pretty evenly matched, but Finale have such a nice lead right now that, oh, but Free Sky, he wins against 2 players of Finale on that crash, and now Desperado does have more room to catch up in 3-4, but 1-2 is so far away.
Yeah, it did seem like maybe there was a bit of a comms breakdown between Dutzy and Hong, neither of them deciding who was going to play aggressively and who was just going to keep the line during those 90-degree turns. But alas, like you said, it's going to be Woojin and Ding so far ahead. For those wondering, of course, Woojin's face is going to look familiar. He used to go by Spell during the preseason. Now switched his ID to his actual name, Woojin. Still in the 1-2, still out of draft range.
Ghost and Promise, they are pretty much uncontested here. They're trying so hard to catch up to Ding and Woojin. But the thing is, without some support coming in and Ghost being able to catch up further to do some sweeping, there's no shot they're catching up.
Yeah, I mean, maybe your best bet, you go for a straight boost, try to knock out people in the 90-degree turns here, but even that, I think it might be just too far ahead, and Ghost actually just barely nicks the corner there, loses a lot of that speed, and now Promise and Ghost, they now have to deal with Hong once again. No aggressive maneuvers coming out. Promise will be able to keep the top speed, but it's not going to be enough. Ding and Woojin way out of draft range, and unless they somehow crash into the wall here off of the jump, they should be able to finish this race safely as we see Finale Esports leading 1-0 with a clean 1-2 finish.
That was indeed a clean way to show us our first round of speed here from Finale. They said they want to vent out some anger, and they surely did that, because as soon as the track started actually getting to the middle stages, Finale, they developed a clear 1-2 win strategy, and it felt like Desperado was playing catch-up the whole entire time.
Yeah, and we see Ditsy just with a nice little smile towards the camera. Of course, the pose for Finale coming out on that victory. This is the type of performance I think a lot of the fans of individual players on Finale would have wanted to see coming into the regular season. We'll see if they can keep it up during speed mode tonight against Desperado.
Finale, if they beat Desperado, that is going to be a huge sign of switch in the momentum so far, because Desperado, I feel like out of all the amateur teams, have had one of the strongest showings so far in the regular season, but to drop a match against Finale would be a complete shift of that as we get ready to enter track number 2. Chosen by Desperado, it's Village Handy Harbor. And in we go into the speed round 2. This is another track where if you get a lead early on, it can be incredibly hard to catch up. So the fact that Finale is holding this 1-2 is a great sign. Not only that, Woojin and Dutsy, they're winning midfield.
Yeah, I mean, part of that reason is, again, these shortcuts are so
Ghost.
narrow, and Ghost actually is able to maintain some speed to get through, but thankfully for Finale Esports, Woojin was there to recover that second place right away, so alas, Desperado not able to actually make any standing changes off of that scuffle in that second shortcut, and Ding, once again, he's just playing time trial. He's way far out front, and another aggressive play from Desperado forces Hong to take too sharp of a turn on that shortcut.
But fortunately for Finale, they have 2 players way far in the lead, especially Ding. You can't even see his player tag at this point. This 1-2 looks really hard to stop.
Yeah, but if they can get up to Woojin, if they can actually break off the 1-2, the point system might come into favor of Desperado, because that midfield, Promise and Free Sky, let's see if they can continue to put on some pressure onto Hong. Hong trying to do his best to catch back up as well. Now in the last lap out of 3. No one able to take any aggressive turns on the outside with a boost, so everyone just going to have to try to fight their way through the shortcut. Striker trying to get that draft right off the shortcut, working with his teammate Ghost, but Ding is just too far ahead, and so is Woojin just outside of draft range, and Ding and Woojin with another 1-2 finish for Finale Esports. They now lead 2-0 in speed mode.
It's all about Finale here today in speed. They're looking so confident, absolutely feeling themselves. Both round 1 and 2 was a 1-2 win for Finale. And on top of that, they didn't even allow Desperado to get in drafting range.
Yeah, this was a rough one, right? I mean, this is as straightforward as it could have been. Despite there being some very aggressive plays coming out from the players of Desperado, they did what they could to try to just break apart the midfield of Finale. But it came down to Woojin actually, within that first lap, breaking through that second shortcut amidst some of those crashes and saying, you know what, I'm here to recover second place. Thing, you just do your thing, get there in first place, we'll keep the 1-2. And now it is a clean 2-0 lead in speed mode for Finale Esports.
And this third track we have coming up is another track picked by Finale. So Desperado, they have quite a tough road ahead if they want to win the set in speed. And now we are ready to get right into it. The track is going to be Village Boom Hill Tunnel.
A single lap track here on Boom Hill Tunnel. We'll see if Finale Esports can get the clean sweep in speed mode and lead this match 1-0 in set points.
Yeah, and we're seeing so far Striker, he's trying his best to keep the members of Finale back, but the 2-3-4 being held by Finale does look really strong. We have Ghost not too far behind, but not enough to be on the camera.
Yeah, Ding's been playing quite aggressively, and he does force Striker just ping-pong back and forth within the track, and he's going to lose a lot of that top speed from those crashes. That allows two members, Dutzy and Woojun, to stay in that 1-2. Ding now playing the sweeping role in 3rd and 4th place.
And we see Promise, he's making sure to keep that 1-2 contested. He takes that one with a nice maneuver on his line there, as we see the midfield very hotly contested right now.
Yeah, a 1-4-6-7, giving them just one singular point ahead of Finale Esports, but it's gonna spell a little trouble if they lose any of these placements. Ding is doing his best to pressure that. He knows he just needs to break apart that 4th place. Meanwhile, Woojun actually gets far ahead. Finale, a little bit of a crash amongst themselves, but they recover. Dutzy still able to make the shortcut as well. Woojun so far ahead, but it's just a single point difference. No, the crashes all come through for Finale Esports, but they recover as everyone has crashed off of that second jump. What is this? It's still going to be that 1-2 finish for Woojun and Dutzy. That's a clean 3-0 for Finale Esports.
A clean 3-0 in terms of score, but boy, was that track a clown fiesta, because near the end there, everyone was colliding into each other because they all wanted to get into that 1-2 positions. But in the end, it was Finale that was able to come out on top.
Yeah, I want to imagine that it was somewhat of a calculated play here coming out from Finale Esports. You know, they were able to just say, okay, we're all bunched up, but we still have the lead, so if we just force everyone to have to clump together on these jumps, as long as 1-2 are not entirely lost and they can recover, or you know, maybe someone in 4th able to shoot far forward, and that's exactly what happened. 3 members from Finale Esports still landing safely off of that second jump, one of their teammates becoming the sacrificial lamb. Good comms coming into play for Finale Esports as they have a clean sweep. And now we see the item aces coming in for this next part.
Banana's going to be swapped in for Ghost, and Desperado, when it comes to item mode, they have shown some strengths. Unfortunately, they lost against Kwangdong Freeks in item, but it is the Freaks after all, so you can't really knock too much points off them there. Meanwhile, Finale Esports, they've also had a pretty nice item mode, we would say, item mode result, that is, against Seongnam ROX. So I feel like this item mode is going to be really evenly matched between both teams.
Yeah, I mean, Desperado so far, I mean, they have had a win streak just within item mode, right? It was a much tougher one against NUTMITE 3-2, but as you mentioned, they do have that 3-0 victory against Kwangdong Freeks, which did allow them to get to that ace match eventually. So Desperado, they're feeling quite confident under the helm of Banana, as you see on the camera here. Not only is he the item ace, also the captain of the team that kind of gathered this combination of rosters. And these are the tracks he selected for his team, starting things off on Graveyard Cemetery Circuit.
Followed by Polar Halfpipe as well as Venice Gondola Tour. I feel like I've seen that Gondola Tour as a popular option for round 5 quite often these days, whereas Finale, they took My Mother Load and London Night, so very classic picks that we're used to seeing from the preseasons.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit more opportunity for some of these timing plays, the combos with something like the Magnet and the Boost on both of these tracks. Meanwhile, Desperado bringing us to a 3-star right off the bat on Graveyard Cemetery Circuit. See if they can make use of some of those new items. Oh, some fans cheering for a speedy recovery for Woojun. I think he's kind of getting the start of a cold, so hopefully he can recover from that. But right now, we get into item mode. It's going to be Graveyard Cemetery Circuit.
And in we go into item round 1 here. This is going to be a 3-lapper track, and just as you pointed out, Will, it is a 3-star difficulty 1, so we will have the scanners, the big bananas, and the sirens.
Yeah, and of course, we have a couple of these jumps here for these shortcuts on this track, so you know, some of these spin outs, some of these attacks, they could come out on a very solid timing, making sure that you can keep the lead at the tempo. As we see right there, right? Even if it's not an attack on you yourself, you're trying to dodge him and you lose that speed, can't make the jump, and you'll have to reset.
The offensive items are double effective here when you time it on the moment your opponent decides to go for that jump, which is why Cemetery Circuit can be a very hectic track to play on. But Hong, he's not in for any of that chaos. He has a humongous lead right now.
Yeah, we can barely see him on the minimap, and actually a Guardian Angel and a shield. He's got that big banana, so that'll be waiting for us somewhere along the track here. And this is just, there it is. It's pretty massive, blocks off half of that track. And the water bomb, of course, covering almost the entirety of the track. So Hong finally gets caught up on, but he will start to escape once again.
Yeah, fortunately, Hong, actually, unfortunately, he got set back quite a bit there, and now Ding is taking the lead. He doesn't have any defensive items, but he also doesn't want to cycle through the Magnet and Boost right now, so this is an opportunity for Desperado to take the lead.
Yeah, I mean, Ding, this could be one of those times where he kind of holds on to that combo as long as he's in contention for first place, right? He will use the Magnet just to slow things down because he has another teammate in Dutzy who's got the Siren and the Boost. Trying to just catch up, more attacks ready for Dutzy, but he falls far behind thanks to that Wisp.
And you can see Banana, he's holding onto a Lightning all the way in the front, so yeah, I'm sure he'd be happy to give off that lead so that he can fall behind and pick up more items that helps out the team. We can see Promise and FreeSky trying to get over there to help out Banana in that department.
Yeah, Guardian Angel on both sides as well, so both teams just trying to wait to make sure that they use it at the most opportune time, and this time it's going to be Desperado, and they block it off. Meanwhile, Ding does not get the Guardian Angel for the lightning bolt. It was used just a bit earlier by FNL esports, just trying to keep the tempo. He gets a shield just in time. Ding, another EMP as well. Should a UFO or Magnet come through, he will get spun out, but he's still far ahead.
And we see right now, they have so many water bombs in the inventory of these players. No good uses for that EMP, but the water bomb was huge.
It's a massive combo, and Ding not able to recover the speed as he bumps around against the gravestone. The striker, he gets spun out, but he will still be able to cross the finish line first. The absolute water bomb combos coming out with a massive AoE attack towards the end of that third lap.
Desperado really showing us why this is the item mode team right now. They are having 2 set wins in item, not having a single set loss, so they feel very comfortable. This is like the fish in the water moment for them.
Yeah, I mean, they looked very solid, despite, you know, Hong or sometimes Dutzy being so far ahead. They were constantly able to just save up these items and make sure they were kind of rapid firing their attacks, so Guardian Angels and Shields just would not be enough. The timing would be hard to match, and they're able to keep that tempo, regain it towards the very end. You know, Striker crossing that finish line in first. If Desperado if they can get another item mode win, they'll take us to yet another ace match.
Yeah, that's definitely what Desperado wants to do for themselves here. They've had an ace match, and Ghost is definitely a scary player to go up against. As you can see, Banana, he's very concentrated right now. You don't want to give Banana a big banana. We'll see if he picks a one up here in round 2 of item in Mine Mother Loaf.
Round 2 begins as Desperado in red leads 1-0 in the item mode. However, Finale Esports already have that speed set win, so they're looking to close things out in item mode.
And this is going to be a 3-star difficulty track, so we're going to see a lot of chaos play out. Already we see a great usage of that water bomb to begin with, and Promise picks up that Siren. He's going to use it right away.
Yeah, I mean, it's so narrow, this entire track. The water bombs cover the entirety almost all the time. That means Sirens are also going to guarantee at least 1, if not 2 attacks when you're trying to go through some of these sections. And again, FreeSky, another good attack against the enemies of Finale Esports. So Desperado just keeping that tempo in favor.
You see Banana, he's holding on to 2 shields, so he's going to be able to absorb a lot of attacks. In fact, Promise also has an Angel to protect Banana if needed. However, the UFO, there has been no response to that, so Hong's going to be able to take first place.
Yeah, Hong is going to be able to dispel that UFO as well with the EMP from his teammates, so still keeping that lead. He is alone for the time being. Eventually will let Promise pass. Promise now with a lot of defense in both the shield and the Guardian Angel. We'll see if that's going to buy him enough time. Scanner as well should be able to take a look. Just waiting until they pass a couple more item boxes, it seems, to cycle through that.
Yeah, not the ideal item you want to get if you're in first place, but he popped it nonetheless. And unfortunately, that bomb is going to connect. Promise choosing to not use the Angel for that. He wants to save it for bigger opportunities.
Yeah, meanwhile, Hong actually goes around the long route just to cycle through a couple more items, but that does mean Promise gets a bit further ahead. Able to keep that top speed as Hong had to avoid the barricade. Finally, the attack's coming through. Promise, he's still holding on to that Guardian Angel.
Yeah, he really wanted to save it, but now he's gonna pop it. Striker needs to play the catch-up now. He's holding on to a shield, so he needs a teammate to target Hong down.
Yeah, we see scanners coming out, and that's going to be pretty crucial in the third lap as you start to see if any items have been saved up. Ding with a nice siren against Banana. That's going to put him far behind, not able to provide too much support with any potential attacks in the future.
And Hong, he's holding on to shield right now, but Striker does have a magnet in his arsenal. So with no EMP around, I feel like Striker has a pretty good chance here to turn things around if needed.
Yeah, they also have a UFO as well, so they can have a double team going on here. Yeah, the UFO comes out, the slowdown doesn't happen, but Striker, he's going to have to regain control after that Guardian Angel. The magnet comes out in time. Is it going to give him enough speed? It does launch him forward as he spins out, but the momentum is there. Physics in favor for Desperado as they lead 2-0.
I was a tad bit worried there when Striker, he turned around and it seemed like he might not even have the time to use the magnet, but he was able to recover just in time, and the boost being enough despite being targeted out and, you know, spinning from the attack. That was a really sick turnaround from Desperado.
Yeah, great plays coming out. And Striker once again bringing home that item mode victory in round 2. They are now 1 round away from bringing us to an ace match between Desperado and Finale Esports.
Well, it would be pretty interesting to see what happens if Finale goes 3-0 in speed, Desperado goes 3-0 in item. Who wins in the ace match? You want to give that favor maybe to Finale, but right now we're going to hold that thought. Take a look at the replay.
Yeah, so the rocket actually comes out, and the Guardian Angel is a second too late, so Striker spins out, but he's still able to magnet right before he, dodges that barricade, still rides the railing just long enough to gain that momentum. Still gets hit by a rocket, but the momentum is there to just slingshot him forward, and that's how they get that round 2 victory. Finale, a lot of thoughts on their mind. They had such a good run in speed mode. They would love to be able to close things out before going to an ace match.
Well, Finale, definitely, if they want to avoid an ace match, it's going to be a tough task ahead. They need to win 3 rounds, and that first start needs to start here in round 3 in Glacier Polar Halfpipe. In we go to Glacier Polar Halfpipe. This is going to be a 2-star difficulty track, so we'll see the players rely on more things like boosters to get up on that ramp.
Yeah, we just saw it in the player canvas right off the bat. Both item aces in terms of Plansy and Banana just shouting out orders right off the get-go. So clearly some ideas in play on how they want to set up for the entirety of this race here on Polar Halfpipe.
As we see Ding, he's going to have a nice lead for himself to start things off because he made it onto that shortcut, and he has a shield and a magnet, so I feel pretty good about Ding's inventory right now. In fact, Dutsy also has a Guardian Angel, so Finale off to a great start.
Yeah, so he will get spun out, but this is why he kept that magnet, right? If he does fall behind, he still has something to not only get ahead, but also deter the potential tempo of Desperado. Ding just going to eat that water bomb. Unfortunately, no way to dodge that from the center of the track. And attacks just being cycled through. Meanwhile, look at everyone holding onto these boosts because it can be so handy to get up onto that shortcut that gets you just a bit extra speed and tempo here in the middle of the track.
And Striker is going to do just that along with Banana. They have a very big advantage right now, and Finale, they have Hong with the magnet, but not too many offensive items besides the bomb.
Banana with a nice stop as well, shields himself from the water bomb, making sure he doesn't lose that tempo. And now we see Striker so far ahead. He is just going to cycle through both EMPs, and what does he get in return? Just 2 bananas, not exactly what he was looking for. Gonna have to cycle through another set of items.
Yeah, he's just going to pop those right onto the ground because he doesn't want them, but that water bomb I do feel is pretty huge. Plansy, he doesn't have a nitrous to get up on that shortcut, so a lot of that pressure is now on his teammates to get in the lead.
Yeah, Hong also holding on to a magnet boost as well. He's actually going to use one of them right now that uses the magnet, now just the boost left over. Dutsy, meanwhile, in first. He took the shortcut. He is going to get hit by that Wisp. No way to block that one. Gets out of it pretty quickly, but Banana is in the lead. Now only 500 meters left. The water bomb right on perfection as it stops Banana in his tracks. Dutsy, he does not have any defense, but Free Sky gets the shield a second too late. The water bombs come out, and Hong, he's able to dispel the UFO, gets bumped for by his teammate, and they will cross over the finish line. Finale keep their hopes alive of closing things out as they bring the score up 1-2 in item mode.
Banana was able to clutch it for Finale there. The way he played near the end of that final lap was the key for Finale to catch up, and they were able to win in such a dominating fashion near the end. Although you don't need a 1, 2, 3 for an item, it still feels good.
Yeah, I mean, just able to throw that water bomb all the way up front. Banana was actually well in front for Desperado, but he gets hit right around that corner. And Finale Esports, they start to shoot forward, and it's going to be, you know, Hongs with the boost. You have a couple other players coming up with shields, other attacks to keep other players of Desperado behind. Just perfection of team play. And yeah, you see it on Banana's face. It feels bad because if it wasn't for that single water bomb, things would have looked different.
Yes, that is what happened. Unfortunate events there for Banana. Man, that was such a crazy near the end there that I honestly think I swapped up the players. That's how crazy item mode can get in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of attacks. It's a lot more just tempo play, timing attacks, combos, right, to make sure you can't just try to double shield up, things like that. So down to the wire when it comes to item mode here in the regular season. We now get to see round 4. This was Finale's pick. We return to a 2-star difficulty map when it comes to World Tour London Night. And Desperado, they would so desperately want to get to an ace match if they can close things out in a 3-1 here. Otherwise, it comes down to the wire in round 5. So, question is, Banana, the item ace, what does he have in store for this timing track of London Night?
Well, we've seen Banana throw us a lot of different strategies as he maneuvered around this London Night track, where now it seems like he's just happy to stay in the lead, especially given that he's got the double shield so that he can absorb a lot of aggro for his team. Striker, he's holding on to a Lightning as well.
Yeah, I mean, Striker with a Lightning, might as well kind of keep that, right? We're not going to have those scanners coming out, so they're not going to have a good idea. So if you can maybe wait to get another one, because this is a 3-lapper, you can start to really set yourself up for the ending. And Striker now in first, just making sure he can cycle through that Wisp and keep that tempo in favor of Desperado.
Desperado certainly have the arsenal to back up that tempo right now. Promise having a pretty nice lead for himself along with a lot of defensive options, and Striker having that Lightning is going to force Hong to hold on to that Angel.
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, you gotta imagine if you're on the side of Finale Esports, you gotta start to wonder, okay, we're not seeing as many crazy attacks come out. What are they saving up for? What's going on? This is a bit of a timing track. Surely Magna Boost on somebody, as we see the same thing for Plancy himself on Finale. But is there going to be a good answer for this Lightning Bolt? We do see Guardian Angels, but the question is how do you draw them out from each other?
Well, so far it seems like everyone's just trying to play it slow and try to keep their opponents guessing, because a lot of these high-value items are being held right now.
Yeah, Ding with a double boost up front, and now finally the Lightning Bolt comes out. It does draw out the Guardian Angel. Meanwhile, on the side of Desperado, they have their own Guardian Angels to make sure they can try to cross safely. Banana just going to try to boost forward, but he doesn't have any more momentum. These attacks have to land. He's going to defend himself, but Hong is still way far ahead. The rocket comes out. Can he reset in time? He's just going to make sure he gets out of the way for Dutzy. What a play on that reset. Dutzy able to maintain top speed, and that is going to be Finale Esports tying things up in item mode 2-2.
We thought Desperado might be able to take a 3-0 here in item, but Finale, they take 2 wins, so now they're going to take us to that match 5. And honestly, it feels like all the momentum is kind of shifting over to Finale Esports right now, that we might see Finale just taking 2 set wins here today.
Yeah, Desperado, I mean, they were running out of steam towards the end, right? They basically all had singular nitro boosts left. They didn't have any sort of combo with the magnet. They didn't have double boosts right before the Ferris wheel or anything like that. So it was purely just a speed battle and hoping the Wisps hit. And while one of the rockets hit Hong, Hong immediately goes for the reset so that he can get out of the way of Dutzy, and Dutzy's able to maintain control, and that can only happen if your comms are on point, as Finale Esports just showed us.
And this final track is going to be another 3-star difficulty track, and it's chosen by Desperado themselves. You know, they didn't pick item priority, but it was more like given by Finale because Finale won the coin flip and they took speed, but that is certainly good news for Desperado.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the ending here. So you see Planty, he does get stopped off. He actually eats the UFO, and while Hong's up front, he gets hit by the rocket. And you see the call. Dutzy says, hey, I have top speed. I'm going to take the close corner. Just get out of the way. The reset is immediate, and that way the collision doesn't happen. Dutzy able to maintain that line. Meanwhile, his opponents took the wider line because they wanted to avoid the collision. I mean, this is just comms and mind games at the top level.
That's exactly what we want to see from Finale if they want to close off round 5 in their favor. The round 5 track is going to be World Tour Venice Gondola Tour. If Desperado wins item round 5, we go to an ace match. If Finale wins, it's a 2-0 set win. So let's see what happens in this very important match.
Yeah, I mean, especially for Finale Esports, right? They had to start off their regular season against 2 pro teams of Seongnam ROX and Live Sandbox, and they are currently sitting at a 0-2 record. This is a desperate win for them if they can close things out 2-0 in a clean fashion. Nice siren coming out from Banana on that timing.
Yeah, it was like he booped his banana into his, or not banana, but his booty into the opponent, and it just did enough to knock them out. That is the power of the siren. As Dutzy, he manages to take the lead back. He has plenty of defensive options, and Striker, he went for a spin but did not work in his favor.
Yeah, he tried to make sure he swept 2 players with that siren, but instead he actually hits the chair there, and the spin turn not coming out with the optimal speed. So he's fallen far behind, but it is item mode. He's got 2 boosts. He will be able to catch up soon enough.
And we see Desperado taking a lot of control back for themselves. Free Sky, he does have a ideal inventory for staying ahead with those double shields. In fact, Banana with the double angel, he's gonna choose to hold on to them.
Yeah, this was a very intentional choice. He didn't cycle through there. He uses one just to help defend, but they gotta make sure they're communicating well because Free Sky still has another shield. There is an opportunity to try to really just alternate the defenses here for Desperado, but no one else nearby, so Free Sky is going to have to hold on to things for as long as possible, trying to deny items on the way.
Yeah, and Free Sky is going to get targeted by the Water Wisp there. There's no defensive option available to defend against that. Promise now holding on to a Nitrous and an EMP. That could be a deadly combo.
Yeah, and what happened just now was Banana had a scanner, and they realized there were no strong attacks waiting for them on the side of Finale Esports. So Desperado, they start to boost forward, and Promise is so far ahead. What a timing on that scanner to just give them a good idea. The big Banana coming out in front of the track as well. It's waiting for them right around the corner, and Promise, he denies the UFO. The Guardian Angel from his teammates as well, still double shield, and he will give the victory pose as we see Desperado cross the finish line and bring us to an ace match between these 2 teams.
We were worried that Desperado, after dropping 2 games back-to-back in item, that the momentum might have been lost, but they show us that Desperado, they're able to focus despite some setbacks, and now they take item set 3-2, and now, as you said, Will, it is time for that ace match.
Oh man, Finale Esports. This is not where you wanted to be. You just wanted to go home knowing that you have the comfort of a victory on the board. Sure, it's not over yet, but the pressure is on. So much more to lose on the side of Finale Esports. I mean, sure, you can argue that Desperado, they haven't faced either ROX or Live Sandbox. They only played against KWANGDONG FREECS so far. I guess also not MIRAEN Sejong either. So it is that Finale Esports had a tougher start to the regular season. However, the 0-2 record is still not where you want to be.
Certainly not, as our teams discuss who will be the player to represent that ace match. For Desperado, it was Ghost performing against Seongbin from KWANGDONG FREECS, and I feel like Ghost played pretty well, so there wouldn't be a reason to not send Ghost up here. Whereas for Finale, it was Ding last time playing against Looning in the ace match against Seongnam ROX, and although they suffered a setback, I do think Ding will be able to turn it around with more chances.
Ooh, lots of high fives to Striker here. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I was going to say I imagine Ghost is still the go-to, but obviously lots of things to consider, like the potential track that's coming up and also each player's condition for that day. Now, on the side of Finale Esports, quite a few choices. Obviously, the go-tos would be Ding and then maybe Dutzy. It does look like right now Ding kind of giving a nod to his teammates and his coach, saying that, all right, we're ready to go. Trying to bring home that victory. He was not able to get it, as you mentioned, Peter, against Looning of Seongnam ROX. Can he redeem himself if he is the one to enter this ace match?
I'm sure Ding is happy to be given the opportunity for redemption, and just as you said, Will, on the side of Desperado, we thought there might be a clear favorite, but based on the way the interactions happened just now, it's really hard to figure out who's going to be the opponent for Ding here, potentially.
We'll have to wait and see. What's the track going to be? It is Bayside Bridge Run, a 2-lapper, and obviously an opportunity for a little bit of an aggressive play, especially at the end, right? You kind of take that sidewalk, maybe go for a tighter turn or even a straight boost to knock someone out if you're behind. So a little bit of a mind game there on draft timings as we get towards the end of this race. Who is it going to be? We are going to see Ding coming out from Finale Esports, and it will, in fact, be Striker for Desperado.
Well, it seems like the high fives were for Striker to be performing here in the ace match today against Team Finale, and to be able to beat an opponent like Ding on his ace match debut here in the regular season would be a strong showing for Striker.
Yeah, I mean, Ding's had some good successes in the past, but obviously off to a rough start here in the regular season. Can he redeem not just himself, but the career of Finale Esports, trying to bring home that first elusive win? We find out as we go to Bayside Bridge Run. Ready, set, and go. Ding versus Striker in the ace match between Desperado and Finale Esports. Striker winning out in a little bit of that mind game for the boost gauge up front. He's able to force Ding to take too sharp of a drift there, and Ding's going to fall behind for the time being. Catches up with the nice draft.
And you can see on the heart rate monitors that both players are very nervous right now. They're sitting at about 140 range, and it seems like both players are really focused.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Ding just trying to make sure. Ding actually tries to want to get into first place. It seems like he's trying to keep the lead, but Striker's just not giving that opportunity. Striker just going for some of those swift cuts, trying to make sure he stays ahead and boosts, and so far it's worked out well for him. But Ding quickly regaining control of that boost gauge. Ding now in the position that he wanted to be. We saw how he played on top of that bridge to try to just get into the lead, and now he has it.
And he has also the better line right now, I was gonna say, until Striker came in with a very aggressive cut. Ding, he takes a collision, but unfortunately for Ding, it didn't send him back too much.
Yeah, Ding, I mean, I think he purposely stops on that as he's about to collide, making sure he lines up with Striker so he's able to boost forward off of that bump. Meanwhile, he's still ahead in some of that boost gauge as well, so he has just one extra tempo here against Striker. Now Striker trying to catch up. Will be in draft range as they get onto this bridge. So Ding, it's now up to you. Do you decide you try to block as you are right now? Do you give it up? Go for your own draft towards the ending. Striker with what a block on that cut.
Yeah, Striker tried to go for an assassination play there, and it did work out somewhat, as now Ding, he's the one playing catch up, but he does have a better maintenance on his boost gauge, and he has the draft range as well.
Yeah, he's got full boost right now. Striker knows this. He knows he has to just play for the blocks. Both of them going on the sidewalk. Ding, can he go for the aggressive play? No, he spins out a little too far. Striker is able to just absolutely cut the corner to perfection. Meanwhile, Ding, he tries to go for the straight boost, knocks Striker away while he's able to maintain momentum, and Striker says, nope, I'm just gonna cut the corner as close as possible and avoid that collision. What an ace match. Once again, victory going to Desperados. You can see how happy Striker is alongside his teammates. Meanwhile, Ding, one of the rising stars of the preseason, not able to find his success just yet here in the regular season.
This is the most awful ending you could have had today as Finale Esports. They are now gonna go 0-3 in the league standings. Striker, he is so happy to deliver that to his opponents here today. Now you have to worry when you go against Desperado in an ace match. You could go up against Ghost, or you could also go up against Striker, who's shown good form today.
Yeah, a really good form. I mean, the fact that Ding had full boost towards the later part of that track, and you can just see how much that hurt here for the team of Finale Esports. I mean, this is rough, right? They had such a good start in that speed mode. And you got to imagine Ding, so much pressure on him because he had so much hype behind him during the preseason. And for him to be given 2 opportunities so far in ace matches and not find success here, it's rough. And this one on Bayside Bridge Run, I don't know if you can really fault him. I think it's much more credit to Striker and how he was able to avoid that collision at the very last corner.
Exactly. Ding had all the advantage, we felt like, and Striker was the one more nervous to try to respond to his opponent's moves. But Striker did that perfectly and won the Team Desperado a ace match there. So now it's going to be Desperado taking the match win today overall through item and ace.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I guess I would say is, you know, Ding didn't have the great timing on being able to chain his boost, right? So that's why he also hops onto the sidewalk, tries to go for a bit of a straight boost collision. Because otherwise, sure, he could have taken the outside line, but he wouldn't have enough time for double boost. And so eventually Striker just reading the scenario so well, knowing what the exact win condition was, and he's able to take the tight corner, making sure that it's either straight boost or bust for Ding. And that gamble works out. Desperado with another win on the board. They now have a 2-1 record. A pretty decent start amongst these amateur teams, putting them in contention for a potential wild match finish in the regular season.
Desperado certainly looking to be one of the best amateur teams in the league right now.
Yes.
It wouldn't be too surprising to see Desperado make it to a wild card match, if not even higher technically, because they only have one loss right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, right? Sure, again, they haven't faced up against most of these other pro teams, but hey, if they take down maybe one of them, right, and whether it's Seongnam ROX, maybe MIRAEN Sejong, maybe even Live Sandbox, like you said, they could actually sit comfortably in top 3 going into the postseason. So a great start to the very first official regular season of KDL here for Desperado. Meanwhile, for Finale Esports, I mean, pretty much every match is now do or die, right? They have a 0-3 record, and it includes one of the amateur teams, so it's not looking like a bright future for them.
Yeah, the only bright future, just as you put it, Will, is that they do still have more amateur teams to go up against than professional teams. But we've seen today that even if you're a team as good as Finale, you can still lose to amateur teams. So Finale, they need to win every single match ahead of them now, so it's going to be really rough.
Yeah, it's funny just how much this kind of prep time all the players were given does for them, right? In preseason 1, we saw it and we said, okay, like 3 pro teams versus the other amateur teams, there's such a big gap. We really just kind of have to count them out. And then preseason 2, we started to see some players, you know, rise up with their own combinations. But now we're starting to say, okay, I mean, any of these amateur teams could, on a good day, take down at least 1 or 2 of these pro teams. So it's gotten a lot closer here in the regular season. But ladies and gentlemen, that does wrap up all the matches. So let's take a quick look to review how things panned out here on this Wednesday of team match nights here at the KDL. We kick things off with Seongnam ROX versus MIRAEN Sejong.
And it was Seongnam ROX. They're taking 3-2 victory in speed, and then MIRAEN Sejong, they fought back in item mode. It was looking really rough for them, but they were able to come with the miracle turnaround, taking us to an ace match. And Hojun was the one being victorious here today for his team, MIRAEN Sejong.
Yeah, Hojun just bringing redemption both to himself and the team of MSJ, bringing home that first victory, keeping them in contention for a postseason finish. That also denies ROX Esports, you know, Seongnam ROX, of a chance to try to catch up to KWANGDONG FREECS early on in the season. But again, it went to that ace match, 3-2 on both speed and items, so that could come into play later on if we have to get into those round differentials.
Yep, that was a very exciting match to take a look into, but our next matchup here was against KWANGDONG FREECS going up against NUTMITE, and it felt like KWANGDONG FREECS, they were struggling a bit against their amateur opponents, but in the end, they were still able to clean it off cleanly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the story of KDF, right? Sometimes we have some surprising moments, surprising tracks against these amateur teams, but at the end of the day, just being able to stay cool, calm, and collected, they're able to always bring home that W when it matters. And once again, they continue their clean streak 3-0 record so far in the very first season of Kart Rider Drift League. We'll see if they continue their success from all the preseason events to kind of, I guess, translate it into their very first trophy here in the KDL.
Yeah, on the other hand, NUTMITE, they are now 1-2 behind another amateur team like Desperado, so they have some catching up to do. And for our final match of the day, it was Desperado going up against Finale. Finale, after such a dominating win in speed, they were struggling in the item mode. It was Desperado leading 2-0. Then Finale came back with 2 wins of their own, but Desperado was able to clutch a match 5, taking us to an ace match, and Striker was able to take down a mighty opponent in Ding.
Yeah, a great ace match from Striker, I think, just goes to show that, okay, Desperado, a bit of a deeper pool than maybe some of us might have imagined from the get-go. And a dramatic fashion as well, right? I mean, you have this devastating defeat, 3-0 in speed mode. You're still able to not give up hope. follow your leader in banana in item mode, eventually bring it to that dramatic ace smash. And now another extra win on the board. Desperado sitting very comfortably towards the middle of the pack. In fact, actually all the way up to 2 because they've actually played that extra match. Didn't really take into that account. So that means they're, even if we see some other results coming out from Live Sandbox in the coming matches, Desperado should still be very comfortably within the top 4 for the time being.
Yeah, we've had some teams here today playing their 3rd match of the season. It was NUTMITE, FNL, Desperado, and Kwangdong locking that in. You can see how different the results are for those 4 teams. 2 teams sitting all the way in the bottom, the other 2 all the way at the top, and it will be very interesting to see what happens in our midfield.
Yeah, Live Sandbox, MIRAEN, Sejong, Seongnam, ROX. I mean, these are some, the 3 other pro teams we have right now in the league, all sitting at a 1-1 record, and some of them still have to face off against each other. So a lot of shakeup in store. But the big question for me now is, Peter, Desperado, how much can they hold on to that lead? Because maybe they make some of these upsets against the pro teams, and suddenly the standings are completely different than what a lot of us expected.
And on top of that, their set wins look really good too, so I'm sure Desperado are feeling really happy about that one. But ladies and gentlemen, our next match is going to be on this Saturday. We're going to have 2 team matches featuring always Seongnam ROX, going followed by MIRAEN and Sejong going up against Live Sandbox, and then solo match Group C, round of 32.
Yeah, we see Striker there. He just had a great ace match performance. See if he can transition that into his solo match performance against some notable opponents as well, like Spear, Guard, Byung-soo. Cool is there as well, Knock, and this is a pretty stacked group. And of course, we'll get to that, but you have to get into the top 3 to guarantee yourself in the top 16. So this is going to be a very interesting night. Also, MIRAEN, Sejong, and Live Sandbox, 2 pro teams, 2 contenders for the title here in the very first season, now going up against each other, both with 1-1 records so far in the round robin.
And I'm also really excited to see how Team Always will perform here, because Team Always going up against MIRAEN and Sejong on their first match of the season, everyone was kind of expecting MIRAEN and Sejong to stomp it, but the fact that Always was able to win there, I really think they have high potential.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting night when it comes to Saturday. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for tonight. We return on Saturday with team matches and solo match Group C. We'll see you then.
Check if my name in your mouth, better add your respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is the throne. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone. Throw it off in my brain and I'm back to the bone.